Charles. He's going to give us his story. He's going to give us his history on how he grew up in Salisbury. We know everyone has a yard, and he will tell us about Grand Savan Yard for sure. And I just want to say good evening to you, Curth. Good evening to you, Curth Charles. And you're live. First, now, good evening to you, Curth.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Joseph. How are you doing tonight?
Okay, let me tell you, tonight is not Mr. Joseph, tonight is Cecil, all right?
Yes, Cecil.
All right,
Good
I
evening
like
to
that.
you.
You're a very good student. You can learn very
That's
quickly.
right. So I want to say a pleasant good evening to you, a pleasant good evening to the listeners of DBS, a pleasant good evening to the management and staff of the NCCU. I'm very happy and elated that you have invited me to the LACO program, Cecil. I'm very honored to be one of your guests tonight.
And I know that you have your good friend Mr. Edwards in St. Lucia is tuned in tonight. So you better try to surpass him. As he told me, you need to surpass his interview because he did an interview some time ago of his
Oh
Laku.
my, oh my, Cecil. He's one of my mentors. Oh boy, I'm under pressure tonight.
And I know that your board of directors would be listening. So you said to your staff and management, but I'm sure that you'd maybe want to say good evening to your board of directors.
Yes, definitely. I want to say good evening to the board of directors, our president, Mr. McDowell Paul, our treasurer, our vice president, Miss Williams, and the entire board of directors. Good evening to you all. Also, the credit committee, the supervisory committee, the entire voluntary body of the NCCU, and obviously, I must say shout out to my staff. I mean, I can say so much I can say about them. They have been so fantastic to work with, and I just want to shout them out tonight and say good evening to you all.
Okay, Mr. Curth Charles, and the CEO of the National Cooperative Credit Union. Well, I know that you have been listening to the LACO program, but I still believe that I need to at least give you a heads up. It's a conversation that we're going to be having. We're not having
That's
an
right.
interview. It's a conversation where you're going to help us to have a better understanding as to who you are. Because many a times our yard raises us up, and people are not aware that our yard is the one that raises us up in such a way. People tend to always believe that it's academics and academics and academics, but sometimes you really get that feel of that academics through the yard. And would you agree with me on that?
Oh, yes, definitely. I must say that even the person I am today, it's not all about the academics, but how I was brought up.
And so, how you were brought up? Tell
Oh,
us.
yeah, yes, I'm Cecil. I was born in Salisbury, so I'm a typical Jabawi. I was born at the health center in Salisbury and raised in Salisbury. Now, I moved in different areas of the village with my mom and my dad. I was practically raised by my mom because my father passed away at an early age, but my mom really was there with me, helped raise me, and I must say that she helped shape me into the person I am today. And not just even my mother, even the community as well. And I always remember and also visit the area which I was practically raised. We call it the Kaya area in Salisbury, just below where we call Block 66. And even being raised there, you got to learn a number of things, because one of the things that I've realized growing up in that area, one of the things we could not do is that everybody raised us. We had to be respectful to all the grown-ups in the area, so we could not do nothing that is contrary to how we're supposed to behave, because, as I would say, an entire village raised Curth Charles.
So now, Curth Charles, you were raised you were born at the health center, raised in Salisbury in the Kaye, Block
Yes.
66. Tell us about your primary, or before I go to primary, your preschool days. I'm sure you would remember the preschool days.
What I can remember from my preschool days, honestly, is recess time. We had a big box, and that's where we used to put our recess, and I used to look forward to that time. Though I attended the preschool, is somewhere down at the Lavigie area. This preschool, I can really remember the name of the preschool. It's a lady by the name of Miss Daisy, and she had a preschool in the lower down Salisbury. We call it the Lavigie area. And what I can remember is having fun among my peers, but looking forward to recess time so that I can eat the snack that my mom gave me.
I'm sure you'd remember the snacks. Some of the snacks that your mom would have given you: bread and butter, bread and peanuts butter, bread and egg, bread and cheese, dry
Yes,
bread.
I'm telling you, that's why Cecil, even today I don't like butter. I had enough of butter at those ages, so I don't like butter. I don't want to see butter at all. I had enough of that.
And what about eggs?
Egg was a delicacy for us. At this time, at that time, I doubt we could afford eggs. At that time, I think butter was the primary, bread and butter, and sometimes even dry bread.
We
So
call we
at
call it we
this
call it
at
we call it jaye.
Yes, yes, yes. And one of the things, even just speaking to you, I remember is putting what we call having the bread hot, and then we put in that yellow butter into that, and that used to come down real good with a cook, with those little cook or juicy that they had at this time, and sometimes you would have to drink half of that because you have to share it. You have to share it with your siblings. So when my mom got one for us, we have to share it in three. So each of us have to take what we call a gorgée so that we can quench our thirst and eat our bread. That was our afternoon sometimes.
And if you're saying that egg was a delicacy, I can imagine what you'd say about peanut butter.
Oh my. And that's why today I love peanut butter because I can afford to eat it today. Because growing up you used to look at the other students, even those who had peanut butter, because we had among us those who we call the elite, those who could afford. So sometimes what we used to do is try to befriend them, be very nice to them so that they can tell you, look, I can remember a particular young man we raised together, and I was practically close to him because he used to set me up nice because they could afford, and some things he used to give me. And even a day like today, we are very, very good friends. And I usually remind him of those days because I appreciate what he did for me in those times.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So basically, you are telling us that to eat bread, cheese, and egg at any given time was rare.
Yes, yes. Those things you get on a Sunday and not every Sunday. But these things were rare growing up.
So
What I did enjoy, Cecil, is being on the farm and eating my fruits and my vegetables because I got involved in growing the vegetables as well, get involved being with my mom on the farm. And one of the things I can remember clearly is going around the village to sell pear, to sell tomato, to sell lettuce, whatever vegetable that she had, because at this age I wanted to make money. When I reflect on my life, I was one that very interested in making money because I realized that we needed more cash for us to spend at home, and not just money for myself, but money to share with my sibling and take care of my family as well, because I saw how hard my mom worked, and it really brought that kind of a passion to me that I needed to work hard to assist her because I could see the length and breadth of how she could go, what she should do, the amount of times that she went up to pack fig on the farmland. This time bananas were boiling, and I remember even going up with them, and on a Thursday when they call fig, we used to, when we go and sell fig on the pot, I used to look forward to having what we call our cane juice and our raisin bun. I used to look forward to that. That was my reward. So every time, even summertime, I used to look forward to going up to the farm.
For
And
sure, for
when
sure, Curth,
yes,
we're going to be speaking quite a lot about that one. So as we, because I want to do it by chapter by chapter. So we now want to do the
okay,
chapter of preschool, and you
yes,
said
yes,
the most that you could remember was really recess time, and
yes,
and,
yes.
and and I can imagine you waiting for that bell to ring. Did you order a bell?
Yes, we had the what we call the long term bell where they used to ring it and we used to gather, and then they share our recess for us. What I remember clearly we used to do is try to change our recess. Say that is that's not ours, but see if we can get somebody else own because we know ours are not anything special. We know we are custom with what we have. So we that's one of the trick that we try
So,
to
so,
use.
so a term in
But
a term in the yard would say we mama guy in the teacher.
that's it.
Yeah. So your mama
We
guide
try
the teacher
something. We
to
try
you're trying
something.
something to see if you get the wrong recess, but the wrong recess to have
That's it.
a better recess than yours.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, Cecil.
Oh my God! So which means you would have been one of the students, as you said earlier on, getting the yellow butter and the brown paper bag.
Yes, that's it. And sometimes if you look outside of the paper bag, what would say some of the students used to say rain wet your paper bag because the oil stuff would be on the paper bag. When you see that, you try to hide it because that would what we call declare you, because people will know what you have in that bread.
Bread and brown, sorry, bread and yellow
Butter.
butter, and that is cooking, and
Yes.
that is cooking butter,
Yes.
not table butter, but cooking butter.
Cooking butter. I remember starting with that. I remember we upgraded whenever we get something from overseas, we would upgrade, but locally that's what we started with.
Okay, so now you move from preschool to primary. You went to the Salisbury
Yeah.
Primary School.
Yes, yes. I attended the Salisbury Primary School, and I remember going through my primary school education at Salisbury, and we had a lot of influential teachers during that time. And I remember Mrs. Jones, who were the principal at the time, teacher Ella Vidal, who was a teacher, and then Helen Ambo. She's one that really taught us in the common entrance class in grade 7. I remember Helen Ambo had what we call a track record, where everybody in her class had to pass common entrance. So we were under pressure because when we were coming up our class, some of us were not doing too well. Again, because we were not that focused. We enjoy playing, because even at this time, I'm Cecil entering into primary school. I enjoy my cricket. I enjoy my football. So these were the things that were passionate for me, because I love sports. And to me, education at the time was secondary. I just wanted to be at that time. West Indies were doing very, very well. So I saw myself as a batsman for the West Indies team. So my focus was really on sports and try to get involved in sports. And one of the things I can remember clearly is once you play sports, they would call your name in assembly when you score runs. And all the ladies, everybody would know who you are. At that time, they used to call me Curth Charles. Because even when you come into my community and you say Curth Charles, at that time, they wouldn't know. In my early days of working, they wouldn't know who I am. They call me Curth Charles. And even when I started, it was common entrance class when the error was made and they added H to my name. And I remember having a discussion with my mom, and she said that if for us to change it, we'd have to pay a lawyer. And I figure, young man, I mean, they add an H, it doesn't matter. I tell her, that doesn't matter to me. So that's where the Curth Charles came from. But at that time, they knew me as Curth Charles. So I look forward to hearing my name in the assembly, especially for scoring runs and stuff. When you play football, I always want to play the forward position because I want to score goals. Because you get the recognition from your peers, you get the recognition from the school, and that's what you want as a little boy growing up.
So, in terms of the cricket, tell us something about yourself during primary school, because in Salisbury, in those days, you had a number of young boys playing cricket, representing Dominica, and that would have been your dream. So tell us a little bit about you playing cricket in primary school.
Yes, I looked at that time we had terrors, we had top ranking, and every Sunday we used to gather on the playing field, because that was our Sunday entertainment. And to me, all of us, all my peers, that was our dream, to become cricketers and play for top ranking and or play for terrors. And there was a strong rivalry between the two. And we used to pick sides as to who we want to play for. And even going through my school journey, I tried to play a lot of cricket, but there's something where you love something and something don't love you. I think I experienced that, especially when I hurt my knee. So I kind of went downhill in that aspect. I couldn't play as much as I wanted to, and then I fall in love with basketball. At that time, the Americans were taking over. We just start having TV, watching sports on TV and the American shows, and everywhere you turn, basketball was going on. So I got interested in basketball, and this sport I reached a little further. I remember we had some league in Salisbury where I captained some of our teams. We had a league among ourselves. We took part in a number of competition, and these activities were very, very good for us because it brought the community together. We came down at the seaside and the bayside. That's when they had court, and that's where we had competition. We had good competition. We got involved in DABA as well. So I shifted when it comes to the sports. But my primary school days, I tried to play as much sports as possible, even track and field as well. Because when you get involved in those things, as I said earlier, that's how you feel recognized at school. That's how people know who you are. And that's how you feel special being in the school. Because again, they would call your name in assembly, and that's what you want. You're recognized among your peers.
No, Curth. So you found yourself loving basketball, but you spoke earlier on of football. What did you do while in primary school with football?
I'll tell you something, Cecil. I believe that I can play any sport. That's the kind of person I am. I feel like I can do anything I put my mind into, and I love football as well. But one of the issue I had with football was was controlling the ball, and I was a little bit greedy as a young man. As I said, I wanted to score, so sometimes I would not pass, but I'll try to beat every defender and try to beat the goalie so that I could score. But football, there were not many competition when it comes to football, and that's why again I got hurt on my knee. I remember hurting my knee when I traveled to Guadeloupe on vacation, and I got into a bike accident and it messed up my knee, and I had to really give up sports. I had to stay away from the sports, although I still loved it. But what I realized, you love sport, but sometimes the sport you love, they don't love you back.
Here you come. Here goes basketball, cricket, football. You have to abandon
Yes,
all three, even if you love sports, because they didn't love you.
yes.
No, give us,
Well,
tell us a little bit about your achievement, your academic achievement while in primary school.
when I got to Sydney Common Entrance,
Before
again, we made.
before we go to the common entrance, I would like you to give us standard one, standard two, standard
Yeah,
three.
even during this period, as I said, I wasn't so interested in academically in school. But I remember something happened in it was in grade five, grade six. I can remember clearly where I came home and I had a discussion with my mom, and we were speaking, we were talking because we have that kind of relationship where we speak about anything. Even a day like today, I usually spend my Sunday with her after church. So we usually converse, we talk about a lot of things, talk about life. And I remember having a conversation around that time, and one of the things that I really admire is the way that some of the people around me that their people have, their parents have, and I used to realize, but we don't have. For example, at that time we didn't have a TV. I remember when we did get a TV, it was black and white, and then we could only see channel 13. And I remember going outside to turn the what we call the antenna because that's how we could get access to see something. So and then I knew some of my colleagues or my what we say my classmates. I knew that they had colored TV in their homes. So I had that kind of conversation, and coming from that conversation, I realized that I needed to take my education more seriously because I believe that education would have got me out and provide and help to provide for my family. And I think that I took a turn in between grade five and grade six. I got more serious because I realized that I needed to pass common entrance and I needed to do much better because what I wanted was a scholarship because again I knew that we could not afford. So I tried to work as hard as possible so that I could receive that scholarship. Unfortunately, fortunately, I got a bursary, but not a scholarship. But we got good assistance, which was very good for me. So I believe that I turned around grade five, grade six, because I realized that education at that time you sit common entrance in grade seven, and I realized that I needed a really strong educational background. I needed to do well. For one, for me to put less burden on my parents, and secondly, for me to be able to go out there and make them proud and be able to go secondary school.
And so you when you took your work serious, your mom would have seen that difference.
Yes, yes. But one of the things I didn't have a choice because my mother was a very hardline person and she really pushed for us to study. But you know, young boys growing up, you're more interested in playing. What I used to do is try to do my homework even at the school. So when I reach home, I know I'm free. So she would call us to ask us if we did our homework already, and I would say yes, I did my homework, but sometimes it's rush it so that I can go out for me to play with my friends and be with them. But after a while, even by hearing her speak, because my mom is persistent, she will tell you what she have to tell you because she's direct. She'll tell you what she have to tell you, and she'll tell it to you over and over again. And I believe I got it. I got it after a while.
Then here it is. You have the garden to do. You have to go to the garden sometimes with your mom. Your other siblings. How many other siblings that you had? Or you
We
have?
raise I raise with two others, but I have my young sister. My young sister, she's in Cuba right now, studying to become a doctor. My elder brother is overseas, and my younger brother is here. And that's by mother. By father, I have 15 other siblings.
How many?
So 15.
Like 1 5?
Yes, 1-5,
Mm-hmm.
an entire playing field. Imagine we have a WhatsApp group because we try to bring everybody together. And honestly, I was so surprised to understand that he had so many of us, 15 of us. And I'm very happy that we have been reconnected, and we're looking forward to even having a reunion among ourselves because some I knew of and some I really didn't know. I heard about, and the thing about it being raised at that time, everybody is like family. So people used to come home. My mother treat everybody like family, unknowing to me that maybe one or two were my brothers or sisters. It's after I get to really know them as I get older, because she treated everybody in a manner where they were like her children. And that's how, if she give us, she would give them. And I remember a few of them being home. I remember some of them spending time at home. And it was not surprising to me, dear monk, but I knew he had a lot. And we did some deep research, and I'm very, very happy that I practically know all those. I maybe don't know is maybe those he had we are not aware of, but those we know, we have about 15. And right now we're even trying to do a reunion so that we can reconnect with everybody.
That is amazing. That story that is amazing. Where you have your other siblings from other mothers would be home and enjoy the meals that you would enjoy by your mom cooking it. I mean that is amazing.
The thing about it, I believe, if we talk about one big family, I believe back then it was one big family, one big village. Because when I look at my siblings, some of them were same age. My elder brother and my other sister, they're same age. I have a sister same age with me. I have a sister same age with my brother. So it's like I don't know how my dad did it at that time, but there was something special going on. But we were one big family, I must say.
And then when you found out for the very first time, because I want to come back in a while about the gardening part, but that is an interesting part. When you found out, let's take for instance your siblings coming home, what did you find? Did you ask who is the mother? What did you?
We knew who the mothers were, because again, everybody were just happy. It's like nobody vexed with nobody. Everybody just living. I knew some of my siblings. I knew their parents. Their parents would call me, greet me, and treat me nice as well. And my mom would treat them very, very well. Even today, some of my siblings deal with my mother very, very well because again of how she treat them growing up. So it's like I don't even know how to explain it, but is what we call love among our community members. That's what we saw back then.
I can imagine tomorrow, among all what we would have discussed, that's going to be the talk of the tongue. Your father having 15 other children outside, and they had to get home and also enjoy your life in the house.
Yes, yes. A few of them. Some I got to know a little later, but those we practically raised with. A few of them that we raised with, they were welcome at home. They were part of us. They came at home. They played with us. They were among us as well.
They were from Salisbury.
Yes. Most of them are from Salisbury.
Okay,
A lot of them have migrated now, but most of them are from Salisbury.
okay. I want to find out from you, Curth, in reference to the garden life. You had to sometimes have to go to the garden, even if you were not the first of your mother, but you all would have to go to the garden and help your mother. Give us that kind of life while you're in primary school.
Cecil, I love the farming life. Even today, I spend my Saturday on my farm. Even before I come here and speak to you tonight, I was out there trying to clear some weed that take over some of my lettuce and my celery. So I enjoy being in doing my farming. And even from that age, we had, when we growing up in garden, we had an area where I would call my own garden. So I used to look forward to growing up with my parents so that I can go and work in my own area. Now, at the time, I used to claim some grapefruit trees and citrus fruits and certain things as mine because I want to pick them so that I can go and sell them, even pear trees and all those things, cane. So I used to enjoy my time in garden, and I must say that these are my fond memories of even being with my father, is being in the garden and even helping my mom wash the fig because at that time you have to wash it, you have to pack it, and we even enjoying going to the boxing plant to make the boxes, bring the boxes up, and then you come up, we play our part to wash the fig as well because again when it's payday you get your little tip, and when it's summertime you can go on the pot to sell the fig, and as I said I will get my little raisin bun, my cane juice. So farming life is part of me. I think it is part of me, and it's something I've never left it because I believe that it is important that we go back to the soil and we eat what we grow. And I try to even grow most of my vegetables even now. And most of the things that I learn it from my mother. Even when I come from school and I would see her in the yard and she would make in a bed, I would quickly go out and even hold the bucket for her, hold a stick for her, pull a grass for her. And I must say that our children today are not like this. But once I come home and I know she's out in the yard, I have to find myself with her so that I can assist her. And I really enjoy being in the soil. I enjoy watching the crops grow. For me, my best time is harvest time. When it's harvest time, I enjoy pulling the stuff from the ground so that I can utilize it. I usually, when I do my lick harvest, I usually tell my wife, this come from my farm, this come from my farm, I'm eating from my farm. So I enjoy the farming life, and the most important thing about the farming life is it is because of the money from farming I was able to have an education. That is the way my mom could make money to pay for my education. So I have an appreciation for farming. I love farmers. I love farming because I know I'm a son of a farmer, and I know it is because of the little what we made from farming. I was able to go to school. She was able to pay my subjects. I remember she collecting money so that I can pay for my subjects while I was in high school. I remember she telling me I have that amount. Next week I have to go up with Franco so that I can make that amount. The next day I have to go up with that person so that I can make that amount. Don't worry, I will have enough for you to pay your CXC subject. So I have an appreciation for the farming life. So I love it as something that will provide food for me and my family, but something which helped me and really provide my education growing up.
So basically, you're saying to me you enjoyed both going to school and having to do your farming after your days at your days school work.
Yes, yes. And one of the things that we had to do was carry water from a good distance. So we had to carry water for us to full the can so that she can use the can to water her crops. So and at that time we didn't have running water. So we have to take up our pail and go and collect my brother and myself and go collect water and ensure that we full the cans and so that she can have enough water so that she can water
How
her
many
crops.
trips?
Oh boy, many, many trips. But what we did, I can remember clearly in the area. There was a gentleman growing up, and he had his little garden at the back of his house. And we realized that he needed water to water his plants as well. So we offer our services to him. So what we used to do, we used to fully scan for him, and at the end of the day, he used to buy this juicy for us. So at that point, we used to drink a whole juicy and a quart bread, 25 cents bread, and our afternoon milk. That was our payment. So we used to rush down after we take care of my mother. We used to go and check him. They used to call him Pa Comrade, and a few of us in the yard, his grandson, Rani, Harry, and Cohen Grove, a few of us, we used to go and fully scan for him, my brother Royston, and we used to ensure that we fully scanned for him, and our payment was a juicy and a quart bread. And that used to make our afternoon.
Boy, that was nice of this gentleman, boy, to give you all a juicy and a quart bread,
Oh,
and
yes.
knowing well that you all would have done something for him, so he would have paid you all in return.
Yes, he was very appreciative, and even before we finish, he know our payment. That's our arrangement. So he organizing that for us, and what we do, we sit down when we finish. There's a little wall that we all sit down on this wall, and we just talk about anything, and while we drink our juicy and our quad bread, And even among these friends, what we used to do as well, we used to go out and pick a lot of nut. So we used to take this note, and sometimes we used to use get our cards. And I remember some people in the area used to tell us we'll end up gambling because we used to take the cards and play cards for not, because we want to be competitive and we want to win other people not. So among ourselves, these are the kind of things that we used to do in order for us to get enough nut, because what we used to do when we roast that nut, we can sell that nut. So besides providing nut for ourselves to eat, we used to sell it for a few persons, roast nut. That's what we call the cashew. Yeah, we used to enjoy doing that. So we used to play among ourselves for us to win a little bit more. Because sometimes when you go, you might not get, or you'd have to go in what we call, in an area they call Laku. That's an area where we had a man who was very bad. So not anybody could go there. I couldn't go there. But we had some brave among us who would go there. And we used to wait for them to go there, and we used to ask them to come so that we can play brags. So when we take our card, we play in brags for the knot. And I remember clearly some persons passing and say, boy, all you young man, stop this, or you will gamble, and all you will, besides not, or you do it for money. But thank God, Cecil, we never did it for money. I mean, we did it for the knot, and it paid off, because I remember certain times I what we call, I got buko, they buko me, but sometimes I win over some. So it was good competition among ourselves, so that we could get some more nut and then sell it and earn a little bit of cash.
So when they buko your nuts, how would you get more nuts to buko the other guys?
Cecil, if I have to be honest with you, we had a group of us, the three of us. So when we experienced that, what we used to do is, we used to, if for example, let's say, I will just call him John. Let's say John book us today. What we used to do is that we used to mark him and see where he put in the nut, because sometimes they used to put the nut on the kitchen, on the house, because you want to put it to dry for the sun. So we still talk among ourselves how we go in and steal it back. So sometimes we used to come together for us to, one person watch for us to distract them, and another person go behind the house, because we had a famous guy in the area. We call him Livery. We could never beat him. And the only way we could get back or not is for us to go and steal it in the night. So we used to mark him, watch him, see what he doing, and then creep behind the kitchen and go back and see if we take or not, because there's no way we could beat him, and he's too bossy beating us. So that's how we used to get it back. And sometimes we go in the field to see if we get, but that was one of the main ways that we get back some of our not.
See how strange it is, Curve, that we speaking of the word Mako. Today, when you hear the word Mako, it has a different meaning. In our
Yes,
time
yes.
growing up, Mako means to watch somebody to go
Right.
get your thing, to go get something.
Yes,
That
yes.
was the yard term for VAing, for watching. You
Yes,
know,
that's it.
you know. So that's
That's
how you
it.
get back your nuts, and then you go back and play, and you see how much more you could get from your friends.
Yes,
So it
yes,
seems as
yes.
if your yard was a very interested one.
Yes, very interested, because one of the things, even just thinking of my yard, Cecil, because since young I wanted to find ways to make money, because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and get involved in business. And one of the things that I did, I'm very skillful with my hands. So I got some, it was Christmas time, and I got what we call some marbles. It was a good set of marbles that came down, where you have a set of maybe seven sets of black one, seven sets of blue one, and then we had different colors. So I figured, let me make a pool board. So I sat down and I developed a pool board. Nice pool board, big pool board, and I used to charge my friends. I started charging them 10 cents. Then I move up charging them 25 cents for them to play on that pool board. And I make a lot of side change on that, on this pool board. So since as a young boy, I had a passion for these kind of things, because I remember even moving from the pool board, you would never say that I've been a barber. I have a barber shop in the community for a number of years. I went into barbering, and I figured it is something that I could use to make some money as well, some side money, and I was doing very, very well. I had a number of customers, and I didn't know how to cut hair, but I believe I'm very skillful, and I watch a few barber cutting, how they would cut, and I understand the hairline, because to be a barber, you have to understand the hairline. And I understand fading. At that time, a lot of persons wanted the flat fade, and this were not complicated cuts, and I believe that helped me because even later on you see all those kind of fancy style, but at that time you want your flat fade. And I remember seeing myself moving up in business, and my barber business grown. I even hired two other barbers, and we were doing very, very well. And another thing I got into, I had a cafe as well in the village because
So I
I
suspect
realized that
that happened after you finished high school.
yes, after
Right.
I
So
finished high school.
let us go
So
back.
let's go back. Let's
Let us
go
go back
back.
a bit. So now
Yes, yes,
you pass your common entrance.
yes, yes.
Give us. You said earlier on that you start common entrance. Your name was CURT.
Yes, it was Kurt Charles. My
Right.
father name is Curtis Charles, so my name Kurt Charles.
Right. And
But
then
at that time there was an error. Yeah, when we went to registry, because you have to bring in your birth paper. My birth paper had CRTH. And I remember my mom telling me about it, and they asked her to go to a lawyer to remove the H, and she told me how much she had to pay. I tell her, no, it doesn't matter. To me, her name doesn't define me. I tell her that's fine. So we kept the H. I sat my common entrance with the H. So everybody, my paper showed Curth Charles, but people knew me as Kurt Charles. And that's why after my common entrance going into high school, they call me Curth Charles. But my community, they know me as Kurt Charles.
so you know you have gotten a bursary. You're
Yes.
happy. Mommy is happy.
Hmm.
Give me your first kind of expression, if you remembered, of what you would have said to your mom, the school that you want to go to, and that kind of thing.
My mom was so proud, and I felt so good that I made her very, very proud because I knew to enter high school it's going to be costly for us, and I knew we were getting good assistance. As I said, I was reaching out to get a scholarship, but I got a bursary, and at that time we were getting good assistance with the bursary as well. So that worked out very, very well for us. And then I prepared for high school, and my brother was ahead of me. He was classes ahead of me, and he entered high school before me. And I remember when we entered high school, I entered the Isaiah Thomas, St. Joseph campus, Isaiah Thomas today. So at that time, you could not say that you're going any other high school. And for me, I didn't have no interest in any other high school but the St. Joseph campus. Because as a young boy growing up, that's what you know. That's the secondary school that you're achieving to go to. And to be at St. Joseph campus. And I was very, very happy that I got a chance to enter into St. Joseph campus. And I remember clearly my brother was there before me, and my brother passed on to me one of his pants, and my mom got me one new pants. And this pants my brother passed on to me, I never liked it because for some reason I figured the brown was not the real brown. So I tried to wear my brown uniform, the new one I had, but again, knowing the kind of person my mother was, my mother would tell me this week is for this one, next week is for the other one. And I remember I didn't like that at all. So every time is the week to wear these pants, I used to stay in my classroom so that I don't go out. But when I have the fresh new pants, I'm outside because I was a very social person. I love to be among persons, and even going to high school, you get to meet new persons from Mao, Jimit, other areas, St. Joe, because growing up you only knew Jabawi, you only knew Salisbury people, and you wanted to meet other persons. So I was very friendly in school, would go around, make some friends. And one of the things that I realized is a lot of them were nervous. So they shy and they're looking for friends as well. So I'll go up to them and welcome them to the school and have conversation. At that time, look around to see who are the pretty girls in the class so that I can go up and have a conversation with them, be the first to talk to them, get to know their name. And I remember at that time we didn't have no WhatsApp or even telephone. So what I used to do, I love to write. So I used to write a nice little letter, a nice little note, and just drop it by one of the girls that I like to see, and just give her my name and say I'm from Salisbury, and tell plainly I like to see you. So that's a way of making my little break entering into high school. But I must say high school was very, very good times. I enjoy high school. But one of the things that stand out, Cecil, in high school is when I enter in first form, because we had a lot of competition coming from primary school. I was among some of the I would say the brightest young ladies from Salisbury. They were brilliant. I was among Kay, Nola. These are brilliant. Giselle. These were brilliant persons. And when we entered high school, I remember at that time I took my education very, very seriously. And we were in one of the forms. They put us together in one of the forms. And I knew that I had to work myself out for me to really come out in the first three, because that was my aim, to be in the first three. And I remember being in the first three, and I remember on the third term, I came out one on one, and I couldn't believe that I beat out some of them. And I felt so proud. My mom felt so good coming for my report card. That felt so nice. So I really remember that I did very, very well in first form. But second form, I got carried away in getting involved with the young ladies because, as I said, you see a lot of new faces. I'm a friendly young man and believe I'm looking good and I want to introduce myself to everybody. So entering into second form, I slack off a little bit. I change a few friends. I start following a few other persons, and I wasn't doing too well. I moved from doing very good in the top three, and then went down to six and eight. And then when we moved into third form, I hook up with a friend of mine. He's from the Kolibistri area, and I used to follow him a lot. And his interest was more or less in girls, and I kind of swayed away from my education, and I followed him a lot. And in this fourth form, I remember the first term I did very, very bad. I came out 14 and 15, and I remember when my mom came for the report book, I was afraid to go home. I dug her at the school, and I remember when I got home, she put me to sit down and she tell me, if you don't do much better, I'm coming in the school. If you think you're a big man, I'm going to hit you in front everybody. Cecil, at that time, when you hear your mother say that, it's not like today when you speak, children don't take you on, but when you hear your mom say that, and I know she can, she capable of doing that because she would hit us anyway, and you can't say anything. So I remember that was a wake up call for me in form three, in fourth form. And I knew that I had to do better. And I just did a turnaround. I changed my friends because I knew what the problem was. I lose focus. I got involved in getting involved in the other young children, going after the girls and forgetting that I'm in high school to learn an education. I forget the promise I made to myself that education is all way out from where we are. And I think my mom putting me to sit down, and I really took her warning because I knew she was not joking. She's a lady. When she says she's going to do that, she will do it. And I didn't want her to come and embarrass me because all that time I believe I'm a big man. So for your mom to come in the school and hit you among your peers, man, your reputation will be gone. So I had to turn around and I had to do much, much better in football.
This one is amazing. I like that. I like the fact that you could recognize that if even if you think you're a big man, but there was a bigger woman,
Oh yes, oh yes, oh
and
yes.
she
And she
would
made it very, very clear.
uh
She
that
made it,
you
and she would hit you anyway if you're not behaving
and
yourself.
you cannot respond.
No, respond. You can't say anything. Just take your blows and find yourself home. You didn't have a choice.
So you dropped your friends
Yeah,
in the term,
foot form.
second
Had to
term in
change
foot
friend.
form,
Yes,
because in first
had to change.
in the first year in foot form you came out of like 15.
Yes, yes.
So
14 and 15.
right, so the first and second term you did badly to your
Yes.
standard, and then what happened in foot term?
Yeah, foot term I did very, very well. I came back down and I came back to, I think it was 4 and 5. So I did a drastic turnaround because I knew to myself that I spend a lot of time doing what I call side things, that things that are not important, things that I believe that I am a big man already, and I forget the purpose, I forget the objective, and I got sidetracked and I got involved in the girls and get distracted, and trust me, when she spoke to me, I knew that I lost my way. I knew that I was getting involved in too many things and things that didn't concern me, always involved in some kind of conversation, always want to chat down the ladies, and I was not focused at all, and I had to turn around, and I must say that I did turn around. I listened, I studied more, spend more time in my book, spend more time listening to the teacher, because I remember certain time we were very, very troublesome. There was this particular teacher, we call him Jarvis, and this teacher was we loved him because His attitude is that if you don't want to learn, it's up to you. So we had a little click at the back, and it's like Jarvis wouldn't take us on. He would really teach those who were interested in learning. So I had to get away from this clique. And another thing that I remember, even in this foot form, we had among ourselves, because you remember it had, I think there was what we call the vocational, or something where you don't pass common entrance and you enter into secondary school either in form 2 or form 3. So I remember in this foot form we had a few ladies that came and they were fresh on the scene, and obviously me and my crew, we wanted to hit up on them and be close to them, so to show persons that we cool with them, and they were much more developed than us, so they were much more advanced than us, so we had to play along and play like we are advanced like them as well. So that distracted me a lot.
Then, Curth, you find yourself at that time in fourth form. You have to determine what you're going to do in fourth form when you arrive in fourth form. Because fourth form is the middle of the road. How did
Yes.
you, in all of this distraction, how did you determine what you're going to be doing when you arrive in fourth form?
One of the things, because we had to select the subjects that we were interested in, and honestly, Cecil, I didn't know what I wanted to become. I remember at one point, my father was a fisherman as well, and I used to enjoy going to the seaside and fish along the bayside. And at one point, I wanted to be a fisherman. I wanted to buy my boat and I wanted to fish. I used to spend a lot of time in the sea. I used to spend a lot of time buying my little hook and my bait and go and catch fish. And the same fish we could use for lunch as well. So at one point I was interested in being a fisherman. Another point I was interested in being a farmer. Again, because of my mother being a farmer, my father being a farmer, and bananas were the in thing. I mean, money was making. And one of the things that I realized in food farm is what focus should I take? But one of the things that standed out to me is that I wanted to lead a financial institution. Even at that age, I say, man, I want to make an impact in Dominica. I want to lead a financial institution. And my eye was not on NCCU. I mean, I ended up leading NCCU today. My eyes was not on NCCU, but was on one of our leading bank. And I remember saying that one day I want to lead this institution. I want to be the general manager of this institution. So that's why I took subjects. I took accounts, I took maths. I love maths, I love accounts, I love numbers. So I dropped the sciences and I focused more on the business subjects. And because I wanted to get involved in financial business, financial management, so I focus on accounts, I focus on maths, and that's where I change the subjects or choose those kind of subjects so that I can do them in fourth form. And I must say fourth form was very, very difficult because again they preparing you for fifth form, but I knew I had the potential, I knew I had the skills, the capabilities. I just had to put in the work. And that's why I always tell young persons when I speak to them, it doesn't matter where you come from, you have that special skill. You just have to tap into it. So what I did, I tap into my skills, I did the necessary things, because one of the things that I realized, Cecil, is that some of us we born brilliant, we born smart, some of us we are not so quick, some of us take some time. So what I realized is that I wasn't the one that's the brightest in the class. But how I become the brightest in the class is when I study, when I listen in class, when I go over, when I do my homework. And I know from since those age, I study people a lot. I study what they do, what they say, and I take in what they try to teach. And I believe that's what helped me. I revise a lot, I do my homework, I spend time in my book. And in fourth form was all about the books. Fourth form I got away from having girlfriends. I remember the particular girl, we had a relationship and we actually finished by the end of fourth form because my focus shifted. I was interested in my school again, and I knew it was necessary because I wanted to get my family out of where we were, and I knew education was our way out. So I focused on my book, I focused on my studies in fourth form, and then moved on to fifth form because you wanted to graduate. I wanted to make my mother proud, and I didn't want to just be a graduate or be part of the students that graduate. I wanted some form of award, so I really wanted to work hard from to get some form of award from secondary school. And I remember I worked hard, I worked hard, I worked hard, and I ended up getting the award for accounts because I was very, very much in love with accounts. I love maths, and
E- even
one
e-
of the
even
go ahead.
even knowing that in fourth form when you decided to do accounts, that you were not doing very well, you got the award for accounts in fifth form.
Yes, yes, because since I was very good when I entered high school. High school was 1 and 1, 2 and 2. In second and third form, I lose focus a little bit. But then I reshifted at the end of third term in third form. And then at that time again, you get a new teacher. So in fourth form, you got a new teacher, and we developed a very, very good relationship. I did my work excellently. I went out of the box and ensured that. And I love numbers, so it was a natural for me, and I really did what I had to do so that I can do extremely well. And as I said, I didn't want to just sit down among the crowd. I wanted to stand out, and I wanted to make my mother proud, and that's what I worked at. I worked towards that, and I achieved it.
Which meant that, as you said earlier on, in sports, you get away from sports. You're no longer involved in sports. You don't need the principal to call your name over the mic to say that you have scored 3 goals. So you move away from
Yes, yes,
sports,
yes.
and
I,
by
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I get away from sports. I get away from competitive sports because even today, let's say we go out as the Caribbean movement. One of those a few months ago we were playing among some other financial institution, and we were playing rounders. I believe I'm the best play someone that'll play rounders. If we play cricket, I believe I'm the best. If we play football, I believe I'm the best. So that's how I feel. I feel like I have the skills. It might not be the skills that will get you all the goals or score the runs. But if I come there, I can take my time, and I believe I can put 50 on the board when we play cricket. I believe I can take a wicket because I think I'm an all rounder. I just think I have the skills. It's a natural skill that I know that I have.
And then, as I was saying, that along the path of education, I saw that you are adopting some of your father's habits, not in children, but in girlfriends. You know?
Imagine, Cecil, imagine one of the things I told myself, I say, man, I don't want to have any outside children. Because one of the things that I realized is money didn't stay in his hands because he had to give us, he had to give those others. And I remember clearly on a Friday when it's payday, that's the time I used to see more of my siblings come home. And obviously they come in to get their little money for the week. And I made a promise to myself. I say, man, I don't want no outside children. I don't want many children. And if I'm going to have children, I'm going to have it with my wife. So when you raise among those things, is either you learn from it, either you follow it or you learn from it. And I think I learned from it because I saw the bad in it. I didn't realize that. I realized to myself that you have to really manage those kind of things because I wanted to be something in life. And I think one of the things that hold him back a little bit is because he made money. Then time fig was, I mean, money was meeting was coming in the country on a Thursday, on a Friday to sell fig, but he had to constantly give it out because he had so many children to swear, the word we would say, for him to give them things to eat. So
The lack of word, swear,
the lack word swear.
swear, yes, to
So
support.
I yes, to support. So I learned from that, and I told myself, no, 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 no. I want to go a different way.
And
And
so,
and why again, Cecil, I went a different way. One of the things my mother did is she raised me up in church, and we were really strong Catholic at the time, and involved in confirmation class. And one of the things that stand out to me is even same Helen Ambo, Gloria Ambo, Morena Sebastian. I remember these people teaching us in first communion classes, confirmation classes, and teaching us the principles of life
so
and teaching us.
outside of they being your school teacher, they were also your Sunday school teacher.
Yes, yes, yes. And I look forward to these kind of classes. Those classes have disciplined me. And one of the things that I could not do at that time, service was 7 o'clock. And there's no way I could stay in bed and my mother going to church and our sibling, me and my siblings were at home. No, no, no. We had to wake up and find ourselves in church. And I think that really helped and disciplined me as well. So I cannot forget this kind of teaching and the way they shaped me as well. So going through all those kind of things helped me to grow up into the kind of person that I am today.
So in reference to church, as you speak about church, would you at the time go get your lusty, as that's the term for the yard? Go get your
Yes,
lusty, and when you're
yes.
through with church, you take your breakfast, or you take your breakfast then go get your lusty. What was the
No,
order?
no, you get your lusty first. And I remember one of the things we used to enjoy taking the lusty because after we take the lusty, we feel like we in heaven. We sin no more. God forgive us for our sins. We have our lusty and we fresh, we strong. So I used to look forward to taking our lusty, and then you take your breakfast when you go back home. In the early morning, you just drink a cup of tea because service was at 7, and then we didn't have ride and we had to wait for us to get a particular ride going down, so you have to be by the road by 10 to 7 so that you can get the ride. So you only have time drink a cup of tea, and then you take your lost tea.
So at that time you were not an acolyte.
No, I didn't reach that far. I confirm, but I didn't reach. I remember when Father LVO was in Salisbury, he was really apt me to become an acolyte as well. But at that time I was too old. I remember telling him I was a big man. It's too late for that. But I never became an acolyte. But deeply involved in church, we had a few of our church committees. We had King's Club. We did a lot of things around the community. We did caroling around people home. We used to clean the beach. We used to take care of the elderly in the community. So we did a lot of things together as a group, as a community. And those things really helped shape me because they got me involved in community from a tender age.
You never thought of being a priest or a brother?
No, 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 not that far. I always wanted to marry and have my wife. No, no,
Okay. so
not
so
that far.
so now you have arrived in fifth form. You
Yes,
graduated. You get the award for
accounts.
best student in accounts. You
Yes.
then had to seek your CXC. What came out of that?
Right. So when I moved on to CXC, I did very, very well in CXC. Actually, at that time, the Clifton Dupini College was there, and I was the only man from Salisbury wearing the blue and black uniform. And I felt very, very proud. My mom felt very, very proud because I did extremely well and I got accepted in college. And I remember a story entering into college. At that time, I was growing little, what you call little locks, because again, you go through stages as a young man. So I remember going through Fet Bowie. So I had my little plaits, my little natties, and then I had to go to for first assembly. And I remember going to first assembly, and I remember Volney calling me out in that assembly when he was talking about how you're supposed to keep your hair and all that. And I remember a lot of persons watching me. Next day, Ceci like cut the hair and I groomed that, and you'd never say that was the same person. And I tried to move for them not to recognize me as the person that Volney call out, and Mr. Volney call out. And I tried to really be somebody that was different. And I think from since this day, I never grew my hair. I kept my hair flat because at that time, going through certain different personalities, going through it was Fed Bowie at the time, I had my little natties, and I wanted to enter college because I think I finished high school. So I wanted to enter college with that. And I remember I cut my hair flat and nice. And yeah, that was the kind of a
And I
person that they
suspect
wanted to see.
and I suspect your mother get a little soft.
Well, at that time, she felt so proud of her son. I mean, after a while, you figure he's doing well. What can you tell him? He's doing well, he's focused. I went through a number of my friends who did a lot of things that are not too good, and I didn't get shifted by it. I was among certain friends who smoke marijuana. I never smoked. My friends smoke right here by me. They did certain things right there, and I didn't do it. So she knew the kind of a person I was. She knew when I make up my mind to learn, I will learn, and I was doing very well in school. So she backed off a little bit because again, I'm getting off age. I'm into being an adult, so she kind of back off. But then I came back on track again because I realized no, no, I have to go to college And that time college was strict. That not like what I would say any little college. Everything was, they had to look at your attire. You had to put your blue shirt in your black pants, and it's your soft black pants. You couldn't wear any jeans. So you had to keep yourself in a way that you look smart, you look ready for work.
2 years at the college,
Yes,
you
two
met new
years.
friends, different characters. How did that
Yes.
help in shaping
Yeah.
you or in breaking you?
One of the things at the time I remember clearly, my memory at the time is we only had one at the time we had one set of students with vehicle, because at the time college had a lot of parties. And we had is a son of Alvin Knight. He went college with me, and he was the one with vehicle. And at that time, as a young man, you drive in. I mean, all the ladies want to be with you because you look good. You drive in and stuff. So, one of the things that I quickly did, I went and I tried to get my license as early as possible. And I was fortunate enough when I reached by my second term, I had a cousin of mine that who would really give me his vehicle, his car, so that I could go around in parties and go to these socials, and I could play like a big man among my colleagues as well, my classmates as well. So I remember that clearly. I remember we had some activity at the college, and we were driving up to the college. One of my friends, Vernon Larrock, we raced together. We were driving up at the college, and at that time I just get license. And I remember when we drive, when I drive, I just hear boom, my entire mirror. I just hit another vehicle, and the mirror fell. And I got so nervous at the time. When the man came out, the man see two young college students. He just tell us be careful and go on our merry way. And I remember being nervous that time because I had to show my cousin the damage, but we got to fix it and everything was good. And I just remember those days because you had to push yourself for it to really be, because at that time there were a lot of new faces and you wanted to impress the new faces. And one of the things that I realized is when we came as first years, we realized that the second year guys, they just flock around those first year women. So we check in, what? But them man, not easy man, they're not giving us a chance. But they were more experienced. So what we did, we discussed that among ourselves, and we say when we became second year, we did the same thing. We went back to the first year ladies. So we is what we call something like a do back, because again they come in fresh faces. You wanted to know them, you wanted to be among them, and we just flocked to them as well. And college life was very good. I remember Mrs. Laron in my accounts class. I remember my English teacher as well, my economics teacher, and these times were very nice times. I enjoy going to, it was located where the stadium is right now. So we're right there in the heart of town, in the center of town. And Cecil, at that time, I never used to go to Roseau often. So even at that age, going to Roseau felt nice to me because I could only go to Roseau when it's Christmas time. That's the time I would really see Roseau. The furthest I used to reach is St. Joseph, to St. Joseph campus, and then Bago.
Give us the experience now of you getting to Roseau for your first time.
Hey, I remember growing up and I wanted a remote control car. I wanted a remote control car, and that's all I wanted. And I remember when we went to town, my mom or my dad, I can't remember which one it was at the time, told me that they cannot afford a remote control car. So they bought me one of those car where I have to drive it, and I was disappointed because I really wanted a remote control car. That was the in thing for the time. But I was happy to be in Roseau because I could get to go and have a good meal. I could go and have some ice cream and eat some chocolate. Growing up, these were two of my favorites, ice cream and chocolate. And I remember all being among my friends and bandits in town, and people have their water guns and playing. And I remember that very well. And again, as I told you, being in town was not something that was not a regular for me. So even being there was very nice. Although I was disappointed with my gift, but then I accepted it. I realized that's how it is for now. And again, all those things motivated me. All those things tell me that I need to stay in school and educate myself so that my children will get certain things that I want to give them, or even certain things that I feel like as a young child growing up that they would desire that I can provide it for them, because even a young man growing up, it was difficult for my family.
When,
And giving me the remote control car, those times it was very, very expensive, so I couldn't get it.
when you pass St. Joe, because St. Joseph, as you said, was your furthest point, you
Yes,
get to Layu, you you get to Taru, you get to Mahu,
yes.
you get to Masak. Then when you
Uh,
arrive in Kenfield, what was the impression of the houses then?
at that time, the airport was full swing.
Uh-huh.
So I remember admiring the airport. I remember admiring planes coming in and out, and to me those things was just unbelievable to me. Yeah, they were unbelievable to me, and I can compare it to. I remember when I got into Manhattan for the first time. I think it was in 2014. The kind of a feeling that I got when I saw this big building in Manhattan, New York. I think that's how I felt when I got to Roseau for the first time in Dominica. I felt unbelievable. I was like, wow.
Boy, look, some big houses.
Yes.
Boy, the road different.
Yeah, everything different.
Boy,
And you start admire
look at
those things.
stores. So
Yeah, and you start admire being there. We had some families in Kinfield, and my brother was practically closer to them, so they used to spend time with them. The Carlisle, Carol, and who passed away. So he used to be with them. So he had an opportunity to be in Tong more than me. So I remember he used to tell me about being in Tong, and I used to wonder, it's true for real? And then getting the opportunity to go to Tong, I mean, that's what I wanted. And I experienced it, and I can tell you it was a very, very good feeling.
I can imagine you going back to your friends. What did you tell your friends then?
Oh, obviously, I boast the idea of being in Tong, but Cecil, I was kind of disappointed because, as I said, I wanted this remote control car. So I was kind of disappointed, but I spoke to them about being in Tong. I spoke to them about what I saw and all those things. And some of them they were in Tong as well. Because we moved as a family, eh? Even some of us were raised in same Kaya, Salisbury. We moved as a family, would go out together. So our parents, they were friends as well, and they would take us out together as well. So we moved together, and it was really something that we enjoyed being in town. Although I didn't get my Christmas gift, but I enjoyed the car that I got. And this thing just tell me that you needed to do a little bit more so that you can reach a certain level so you can provide what you want for yourself and even for your children.
I must ask you in reference to
Family would
Roseau and,
go out together.
transportation. You saw more cars.
Yes.
You saw more things that are luxurious to your eyes. When you saw those things, how did you go back to your other siblings, not even your friends yet, your siblings, to tell them, or you have to go Roseau to see that for yourself?
Oh yes, oh yes. I remember boasting, and like I remember clearly, and I telling them because at that time not everybody could go Roseau. Yes, I remember telling them, "Boy, you need to be in town and you need to see what is going on." And since experiencing it, Cecil, and speaking to them, is something that we wanted to do even more. We wanted to go town a little bit more, but again, we couldn't have done it. You must get your parents' permission. So we have to wait when it's festive season again, when it's Christmas time again, so that we can go to town and we can experience it again. But it's something we look forward to because it was very, very good to us. We felt very, very good about it.
And now here you are having to visit Roseau very often at sixth form.
Yes, every day going to school, Roseau, and it was real nice. It was real nice being in town. As I said, I was the only young man from Salisbury going to that college wearing the blue and black uniform, and I felt real nice. I remember after school, pull up in the Salisbury bus stop so that more persons can see me, talk to me, and pull up. So I didn't used to just go home one time. I used to just pull up around, hang around, make new friends, and then I would go.
So which means that when you enter the Clifton Junior College, every person that you saw was your very first time you met them, and you had to make new
Yes,
friends.
yes, most of them. I went there with Bernard Detosh. We went campus together, but he's from Mao, and there's another young man from Mao. So it was the three of us from St. Joseph campus at the time. So we were really tight, and we were hanging around. And I remember when we came there, it had some young ladies. They went to Convent High School, and they came up to us, and they introduced themselves to us, and we became friends. Because when you come in there, a lot of new faces, and I remember they approaching us and coming up to us, and we hung out in the library, and then we build our friendship among others, because we moved about. But what I said is that the second years, they run in front of us, and they became friends with most of the students before. So when we got into our second year, by that time we were friends. I was friends with practically everybody. I knew everybody in the school.
By that time, the school had about between 60 to 75
Yeah,
students.
not many, not
Not
many. And
many.
we hold a lot of parties and after school get together. So we do a lot of socializing. So we knew each other, and young persons, and we wanted a balance besides. Because I remember that's one of the things that the student council used to preach: a balance in studying and relaxing the brain. So we had a lot of events. I remember at that time we had DJ Curth and versus DJ Alfie. These were the two DJs in town, and we hold a lot of events with these two DJs and going against each other. I remember those times, even going through those activities. I just smile, and I say, "Oh boy, being a young man, you really have to go through." And Cecil, that make me even understand my two boys, because I have three children. I have my two boys who are adult. My first son is 22, my other one is 18, and my princess is 14. But that helped me understand my boys, because I knew what I went through as a young man growing up. I knew certain things that I wanted to. So what I do, I try to speak to them and let them understand life. But I understand the changes that they will go through and what they want to explore as a young adult.
Now, academics in the college. You talk about the social life, the things that you all did. What about the academics? Did you stay focused? What did you?
Oh
What
yes,
happened?
oh yes. I stayed focused. I did very well in accounts. I did very well in economics, English, and maths. These were my four majors, and I did extremely well in them. And when I left college, I was interested in working, because again I wanted to assist my mom, because I knew she sacrificed a lot for me to get where I am at that time, and she sacrificed and paid for my education. So I couldn't wait to get into the field of working. And I've been blessed, Cecil. When I left college in 1997, I went job hunting, and it was a little bit challenging. I got a few stints here, there, nothing serious, but in October of 1997, I got employed by HHV Research, and I spent 8 years at HHV Research as a young man coming in at Research. And I remember having a conversation with Mr. Gary Ed, and we have remained in contact, and we have, because he's somebody I respect a lot, and somebody that I learned a lot from, because I worked closely with him when I did the cruise ship accounts. And I remember persons like Gwen F. Daly, and would taught me a lot, and even Gary Ed himself, Mr. Ed himself, would work closely, and even working with Mr. Ed and working at Whitchurch for 8 years. I think that helped shape me. I was a young man coming in and green, and knew nothing about the work life, knew nothing about being in an office. And I must say that I had a number of persons, my supervisors at the time, my managers at the time. They saw it in me. They gave me opportunities. I moved up in the institution. I moved up from an accounts clerk, and moved up across in other sections of the institution. I remember doing the supermarket accounts. I remember doing the cargo accounts. I remember doing the cruise ship accounts, payroll accounts, clerk accounts, receivables. And that is why today I will always call with church day, because one of the things that they did is that they taught us a lot. We learned to work under pressure. And just imagine you working directly with the managing director. So, Cecil, you know the amount of pressure that you can come under. And we're dealing with cruise ships and dealing with those in Florida directly, and the pressure that we were under. But it all worked out very, very well. I think that helped shape me into the person that I have become. Pressure don't phase me, pressure don't get to me, because I understand that there's always ways to manage these things. And with church, my days at with church have taught me that when you go under those things, you find ways. They show me how to deal with situation like this, and I believe even under pressure, you'll find me calm, cool, so that I can deal with it properly.
But I'm sure though too that at the college, when you start your exam, you would have done well in the areas of accounting.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I did very, very well with my four majors: accounts, economics, maths, and English. I got A levels in them.
Okay, and so you're at Whitchurch, you're doing all of this accounting work for Whitchurch. It gave
Yes,
you great
yes,
experience. Did you
very much
did
so.
you tell yourself, well, it's time to do a bachelor's degree? Is it time to do, something, some higher level of education? Did you tell yourself that?
Yeah, what happened is that I spent 8 years at Whitchurch, but I got very comfortable at Whitchurch, because I got to work with persons where we moved as a family. We had persons like Timothy St. Clair and Celia. A number of us, Tessa Coffee, a number of us, we had a very, very tight knit relationship. So honestly, Cecil, after a while, I was not thinking about further in education, neither thinking about the salary, because at that time I remember my first salary was $1,000, and I used to ensure that I put aside something for my mother, because I know the sacrifices that she went through. So I ensured out of that $1,000, I was paying Social Security $30, so I had $970, and $400 was hers, and then the rest I used to try to save $400, because I knew the importance of saving. But what happened now, when I give her that $400, you know what would happen, Cecil? She would come back and give it to me. So when I give it to her for to take for herself or for her to use for the family, sometimes she would ask me if I have boss money, and she would give me something, or she would tell me, look, hold that. So the same money I used to give her, sometimes she come back and give it to me. But one of the things that she did is she opened a credit union account for me. Even at that time, I had a credit union account, because she opened it a way, way long ago, where she used to save little 25 cents for us, $1. And when I start giving her money, she used to save that as well. So I had my credit union account at a very, very young age. So at that time, when I was working at Whitchurch, I used to give her her portion, I used to save her portion, and then I used to say that portion is for me to free up with my friends and relax myself. So that's what I did at the time.
All right. So you would have studied with church, and I'm sure you would have, as I said to you, you have grown greater interest in wanting to achieve higher education. So I was asking the question: did you decided on at any given time to do a bachelor's degree?
Yes, at that time, I didn't do the bachelor's degree at that time. As I said, I was more among family, so I didn't focus on that. But I remember when it was in around 2005, close to the ending of my 8 year stint at with church, something which strike out to me. We had a position where we had a supervisory opening position, and I could do the work in that area, because I remember holding on, and I worked with my friend Gav Joseph as well at with church. So I remember Gaff and myself holding on that position and really sharing the duties, and we did extremely well. Now, what happened is that when the position was advertised, we were not qualified enough, because, again, we at that time we only had I had myself a college education, but not no degree. So I was passed off for this promotion, although I thought to myself that I could handle the position, but again I was not qualified for that position. So it opened my eyes, Cecil, and it told me that it's time for you to get a bachelor's degree. So that this motivated me to get into the idea of achieving a bachelor's degree. So what I did, I loved accounts, so I pursue what we call a certified account technician, because I was going back and forth as to what to do. I wanted to go into management. I wanted to go into accounts, and I remember at the time we had a lady by we call Tekla. I came, she, I think it's a St. Lucia, and she came to we church and she spoke to us about doing a degree education in management, do a degree in management, and I knew my passion was accounts and finance. So I did what we call a certified account technician first. And I remember when I did that, Cecil, actually, when I did the exam, I came out third in the Caribbean, among the entire Caribbean body. I came out third. I went to Trinidad. I got an award in Trinidad. And from the CAT, you move up to what we call the ACCA, Association of Chartered Certified Accountant. So from that, after I did the CAT, I moved into the ACCA, and then I branched out from to get the bachelor's degree because I figured I needed more paper behind my name, because yes, I had the experience, but I needed the qualification. So I had the CAT, Certified Accounting Technician. I got the bachelor's. I did the bachelor's with Oxford Brookes University. I did it in distance learning. So I did that, and then after I got my bachelor's, I continued my ACCA. Now, one of the things in doing the ACCA is I kind of lose track, in the sense that I moved into the Cretan movement in 2005, and then I was doing the ACCA from 2008 going into 2009, 2010. And I remember we amalgamated in 2010. So it was a lot of pressures and a lot of pressure to complete the ACCA. At that time, I completed my bachelor's, but the ACCA I was trying to complete. And then after going through pressure at work and getting the time to complete the ACCA, I got into the Salisbury Reunion celebration, because I was the chairman of the Salisbury Reunion committee. And that took a lot of my time. My schoolwork suffered. So I decided, I remember having a conversation with my wife, and I tell her, you know what? And the ACC, I was doing it on my own. It was very challenging, and they were offering it in Trinidad. So I remember telling her, babes, I need to go to Trinidad to spend some time to finish the ACCA, because I've started now. I'm on the advanced level, and it's very challenging. So obviously you come and you tell your wife you have three young children, and you tell your wife you're going to leave them for a while. Obviously, Cecily, look will not be too good. So obviously look was not too good. But I tried to convince her, and I told her it will not be for long. It was actually for 8 months. And we talked about it, and we went through the process, and I went to Trinidad, and I went to school to Trinidad, and I completed the ACCA. I completed it, and I was so happy to finish it. I finished in 2012. And after that, now, when I finished in 2012, around that time, I was in the Cretan movement. I was a branch manager at La Salette at the time. And even entering into NCCU and working with NCCU, because we amalgamated in 2010, October 2010. And being a branch manager, one thing I know that I have is, I believe that God gave me the vision to see certain things. And I believe at the time, even with an ACCA qualification, a bachelor's degree, I keep hearing that it's not sufficient. You need more. And after that, I pursued my master's
So you were
education.
told that you were told that the bachelor's at that time plus the ACCA wasn't sufficient.
Well, I felt that way.
Oh, you
I
felt
felt that way.
okay.
Again, because of where I wanted to go. Because you remember, I told you I wanted to lead a financial institution. And I
Yes.
believe that I wanted to be qualified enough.
Yes.
Because since in fourth form, that was my passion, from fourth form. My eyes was on a particular banking sector, but a financial institution that I wanted to lead. And even getting my ACCA, I figured that being a part of a certified accountant, I mean, even in Trinidad, I remember they didn't want me to go back, because they appreciate that, because passing ACCA is not easy.
Oh yes.
And this qualification is very highly accepted in Trinidad. And I remember they offered me a
In the
few
entire
employment.
region, as a matter of fact, in the
Yes, in
entire
the
region.
entire region, in the
Yes.
entire region. And I
Because those
remember,
days,
yes,
outside of a financial institution, when you are going to work for big institution or big companies, one of the things they ask you for, especially if you're going to be doing internal auditing, they ask you for the
yes, yes,
ACCA. So that speaks
yes, that,
volume
that's it. That's
of
it. That's it.
you know.
That's it. But again, as I told you, God gave me the vision to see certain things, because when I entered into NCCU, nobody told me anything, but I knew NCCU needed a CFO,
So, but before
a
that,
chief financial officer.
let me ask you quickly before that.
Yes.
In reference to the FCCA, did you become a member, or did you apply? Did you become a FCCA chartered member?
No, you become an ACCA member, Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. So
Right.
that's what I got.
I'm aware of that.
And then
Yes.
after 5 years, because I got it in 2012, and then 2017, after I did, for this qualification is not easy. For example, what they want to keep you, you have to know what is going on in the financial world. You have to continuously study international financial reporting standards. You have to do your what we call your CPA yearly. You have to submit that to the school. So what I did after 5 years, submitting my experiences, because they want to know that you're keeping yourself up to pass to what is happening in the world as an accountant, because you're an accountant, you're an auditor, so but you have to keep yourself updated. So I kept myself updated. I kept submitting my what we call my yearly annual what they want to see is what you did for the year pertaining to updating yourself and keeping yourself qualified and updated. So in
Especially,
doing that,
especially knowing the rules and laws of set of all
yes, the
government region
changes, regulations
regulations.
changes,
Yeah.
standards changes, there are new
Yes.
standards. So they want to know that you understand them and you really keep in par with them. So what I did my submission, and then I did a final exam in 2017. And that's when I moved from ACCA to FCCA. So they moved me from ACCA to a higher level,
Higher level.
FCCA, which is a fellow member of the Chartered Certified Accountant.
What about the CPA?
That was the FCCA I got at that time.
Okay. So you did not
Yeah.
go through the process of the CPA.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I got the option to do an exam to get this one as well. But after a while, after I did my masters, I figure that's enough. I figure because studying is not easy, and it takes you away from your family time as well.
But in
And that is
reference,
why
but in reference to the
go ahead.
CPA, you can be used in Europe and in the United
Anyway,
States of
yes.
America
Yes,
anywhere.
anyway.
You know,
Yes, anyway.
that is a greater advantage of the CPA. But in as much as you have said that you have the masters, it gives you that opening and understanding by many other financial institutions that you are able to do accounting.
Oh yes, financial accounting. Even sign off on accounting statements. But again, based on my job, I can get involved in any of those things, because I remember even being the CFO, the chief financial officer, I got opportunities to partner with audit firms because I'm an auditor by qualification as well. But then I couldn't get involved in auditing again because of my job. So I had to stay away. I remember a few persons approaching me and telling me they will do the work. They just want me to sign off on the financial statements. But I couldn't get involved into that because, again, of my job.
No, no, no. Curth, let me just tell the listeners that I'm speaking with the Chief Executive Officer of the National Cooperative Credit Union, Curth Charles. He's telling us, giving us his story, growing up in Salisbury, and to find out about his educational journey, which he has done and is doing still, and his involvement in the credit union and his community. That's where we are now. Now, Curth, you find yourself working for the Lasadet Cooperative Credit Union, as you said, in
Yes.
2005. By that time, the National or the Roseau Credit Union did not have any relation with the Lasadet Credit Union. You were then the branch manager in
Yes, yes. I entered as the accounting officer, and then I moved up to be the manager of the then La Salette Cooperative Credit Union Limited.
and then in 2010, as you said, that the
Yes,
National Cooperative Credit Union was then made together with
yes,
other credit unions to include that of the Lasalle Credit Union. Tell
yes.
me
The
what happened from.
amalgamation. And Cecil, I remember the amalgamation like it's yesterday. Because I remember we went through every nook and cranny of Dominica, because we amalgamated with Vickers, with St. David, Maho, La Salette, and Roseau. We call them the Big Five. And you had to convince the members that the amalgamation was the way to go, and we needed their approval, because obviously as a Christian movement we cannot do what we want. So we needed to sell the idea of the amalgamation, and I remember, along with Dexter Ducre, who was the president of Roseau and the amalgamation committee, Mr. Ilma Irish, and all the other persons, I remember we went to communities with, I remember Carly John Baptist was on the board at La Salette, the gallery as well, Algernon, the gallery. And I remember we went through every community, every area in La Salette, Point Michel, Soufriere, Scotzet, Galio. We went through Vickers, went through Mao, Jimit, Warner, all areas because you wanted to convince the members that the amalgamation is the way to go. And I remember, even as an institution and managing La Salette Credit Union, one of the benefits that I saw in the amalgamation is we had a number of members who were requesting mortgage loans, and we had a liquidity issue. We could not give the amount of mortgage that we wanted to.
That is
For
that
example,
is the La Salette.
yes,
La Salette.
yes, La Salette, managing the La Salette Credit Union. So we had requests for mortgages, but at the time, once you give two mortgage,
Money
you had to
finish.
slow down because your liquidity position would change.
Yes.
So we had the demand for more loan requests because one of the things that I did, I call them the original La Salette members of staff. We went into every community because I got them to go into every community so that we can sell our products and services at then La Salette because we wanted to increase our bottom line at La Salette. So we got members to come in to take loans and request loans, but we couldn't afford the demand that we were receiving, and that's why we reached out. I remember reaching out to Mr. Irish at the time, who was the GM of Roseau Credit Union, and I spoke to him about about coming together, cooperation among cooperatives. And then the amalgamation talk came up, and I remember pushing. First of all, I had to get the buy-in, sell it to our members of staff. And I remember members of staff like Cecilia Alfred, Kimara, Joseph, and Sherry Hill, and all I call them the originals, talking to them and tell them we need this amalgamation to come through. And we went through every nook and cranny of the area to sell the amalgamation, speak to the members, tell them why we need to do this, why we have to form the NCCU and form the Big Five. And thankfully, we were able to convince them, and they vote overwhelmingly for the amalgamation.
So you can consider yourself as a pioneer in the La Salette Credit Union, coming from Salisbury,
Yes,
on the west coast to go to the southwest of Dominica, that is in Point Michel, to convince
Point
the La
Michel.
Salette Credit Union members that it was important.
Yes,
How do you,
and even today, I have a lot of close relationship with the members up there because even if I came from West Coast, came from Bowie, Salisbury, I went there every day. I spent time in the community. I was among people in the community. I did a lot of activities where we involved members of the credit union to be part of us. We worked the community, so I knew them. I create personal relationships with them. So convincing them, they build the confidence that the institution that was the right thing for the institution, and they supported the venture.
no, you spoke of liquidity in La Salette. Help us to have a greater understanding of liquidity when we speak of liquidity. What does it mean?
Yes, when you actually talk about liquidity, you're talking about the amount of cash that you have on hand, readily available cash. And there's a certain level of liquidity position that you must have. And you need it for you to finance your on lending, your loans. So you need enough cash in the bank so that when the members come to get a mortgage, let's say they come for $600,000 mortgage, you can give them disbursement. They can take their disbursement, and we deposit it to their account, and they can write checks against it, and they can get their funds. So you need enough funds in your personal account so that you can fund these mortgages, you can fund these loan products. So when we talk about liquidity, we're talking about the amount of cash that you have on hand.
So now, Curth, here you are now, in 1995. No, sorry, in 2010.
2000, yes.
2010, we have one big umbrella of five different credit unions. And at the time, you were the CFO of the credit union at the time.
Yeah, let me just give you the history. When I came into the amalgamation, I was the general manager of the then La Salette Cooperative Credit Union. And then when I entered the amalgamation in 2010, So from 2010 to 2015, I moved from being the branch manager of La Salette. Then I was transferred to St. Paul. I became the branch manager of St. Paul. Then I was transferred to the Roseau branch. I became the branch manager of Roseau. So from 2010 to 2015, I moved around as branch manager of La Salette, St. Paul, and Roseau branches. And then in 2015, the institution needed a chief financial officer, and the position opened. And I remember going through my interview process, and I won the hearts of the interviewers at the time, and I became the chief financial officer from 2015 to 2023.
What difference did you bring to the table of the NCCU becoming the CFO? And try to relate it to the yard. The reason why I'm asking this is because all along the way, as you're going through, I'm hearing the stories that you give me of the yard with the knots, with your friends, with the gentleman in reference to he paying you to do some chores. You know, going on to be a fisherman and wanting to supply more for your family. So help us to have a greater understanding as to how did you take the yard of yours to
Yes.
really help in the development of the NCCU financially?
Cecily really, really helped, because you remember I told you I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I had the barber shop. So I was controlling and managing my finances from the barber shop. And then I used the finances from the barber shop, and then I opened a computer cafe. And I remember the computer cafe was doing very, very well. I had two employees employed, one working on the morning shift, one working in the evening shift. And I remember this business was doing very well because many homes didn't have no computers. And even going through having these businesses, it let me understand that I have to manage my finance so that I can invest and make it grow. And I remember even going back and how I kept a separate account, a separate business account. And that is why when I do little lecturing and speaking to business owners, I tell you, you don't mix the business, you don't mix your money, your business with personal. You have to have a separate account for those things. So I learned growing up that you keep your business separate and you pay yourself. And that's what I did. And that's what I think helped me to even see my way when I had these small businesses. And that has helped me to, when I moved on to NCCU, and being this chief financial officer, it has to do with managing the finances of the NCCU. So that has helped me in order for me to be the kind of a financial officer that I needed to be, in the sense that they would call me at the time the watchdog. I'm very, very critical when it comes to spending. You have to justify your spending. So, for example, the managers used to have a real hard time with me, and I used to go clock on budget. Every October, I start the budget for the following year, and then I ensure I present the budget to the board of directors before the year start. And I tell the managers, even in preparing the budget, you tell me what you need, what you have to purchase. So Cecil, anytime you want to go off budget, you're in problem with me. I was like the police. I keep you, I tell you, no, that we didn't budget for that. And you have to justify everything. And in our reporting, you need to tell me why your variance is greater than 10%. So I need to explain to the CEO why we are going off our budget, so that he in turn will explain to the board of directors why expenses increase. Because I needed every manager, every head of department to justify the expenses. And then I used to put pressure on them that we need to increase revenue. We need to increase our loan portfolio. You need to do more. And Cecily, numbers does not lie. I sit in my office and I'll call a branch manager and I'll tell them, I see your delinquency increasing. I suspect your staff are not focusing on delinquency. And yes, that is the result, because looking at the numbers, I do a lot of variances. I look at a lot of comparison and analysis, and I can tell you whether you are slacking off in some areas, what you need to do. So I had this kind of conversation with the managers and this close relationship with them, where they could call me for advice. I would provide them with advice. I would let them know what needs to be done so that we can manage the finances of the institution. When it comes to the cash flow of the institution as well, it's a huge institution with many investments. We have investments regionally, locally. So you have to manage these investments. You have to ensure that you get sufficient return for your investment. You have to look at the risk. You have to manage the risk. You have to ensure that you know when your investments are up, what are the other opportunities out there in the region, the opportunities locally. You make investment proposal to the CEO, investment proposal to the board of directors. So it was something that I enjoy doing because, as I said earlier, I love numbers and I love investment. I love seeing my little 10 cents grow into a dollar. And even being the chief financial officer of the NCCU, I got the opportunity to manage the finances, keep people on track, to carry us into the where I think we need to go, because I used to budget the surplus for the following year. And if I said that that is our budget, we agree upon the amount, we go through it, the CEO at the time and myself, and then we present it to the board of directors, the board approve it, then we keep everybody on budget so that we can achieve the surplus that we think that we can achieve. So I was like, I would call myself the police, to ensure that I police that funds, I police the cash flow, and I police the investment so that we do not make any bad investment, or if we have see any investment that are not turning out where they're supposed to, if we can recall the investment as soon as possible and diversify the portfolio. That's one of the things you do in risk management. So I enjoy my work. I enjoy being the CFO. It's something that I really, really enjoy doing.
And listening to you, Curth, says to me, yes, while you are a certified accountant in the ACCA, it sounds very much that you complemented the NCCU by having to do quite a lot of internal auditing. I mean, because you describe quite a lot of internal auditing work in reference to your job as the CFO.
Yes, yes. You have to keep people on track. You have to keep people on track. You have to guide them, and you have to really teach them certain things. Again, I had to be involved in new standards. And I remember when the IFRS new standard was called IFRS 9, new standard was coming along. We went through a complete change in the standard, and it affected our provisioning, it affected our loans, it affected a number of our portfolio. And I remember I led this process, and it was a process that I enjoyed doing. It had an adverse effect on the institution in the sense that we had to provide more, and once you provide more, your surplus reduce. So that affected our surplus. So I had to make everybody understand that we need to give out good loans. We need to give out loans that, yes, they are risky, but loans that have good collateral that I can rely on when I'm computing the provisioning. And at the time, we were doing it manually. So just imagine you as a member of our credit committee, Cecil. Just imagine the amount of portfolio that we had to compute manually and look at the provisioning. So what I did, my team and myself, we came up with an Excel sheet. So we use an Excel sheet to make our work easier until the institution bought a software so that we could get automated, and we use a software to compute the provisioning.
No, in all of this you're saying, how, as the CFO, how did you help in increasing the portfolio of the credit union, and how did you assist also the credit union in building its asset base?
Yes, one of the things that come to mind, Cecil, I remember a particular year we had the banks were giving us some serious blows. We were losing loans to the banks, and I sat down in my office and I saw, as I tell you, I do real life checking when it comes to the numbers. So I see things very, very early so that I could inform the CEO as to where I see we're going. So I remember having a discussion with the CEO, and I told him at the time, I think that we're in trouble because the banks are encroaching on our members. They are taking our loans, and when I went through the process, I believed that I needed to do something. Even as the CFO, one of the things that I think that needed to be done ASAP as soon as possible was for us to tweak our portfolio and came up with more productive loans, and came up with a mortgage loan that was more attractive. So what I did now, we did the Mortgage Blast 2.0. So I remember sitting down in my office and working on this and calling my members of staff so that we could work on it. And we introduced the Mortgage Blast 2.0, where the members with a mortgage, they're able to buy furniture, fridge, anything that they needed for their house. So we tweaked it, and then we made a case to the board of directors to reduce the rates as well, because we were in a rate war at the time and the banks were really moving on us. And I remember we did that as well. So the Mortgage Blast 2.0, with the reduction in the rates, we were able to stabilize and increase our portfolio because we were really feeling something when they were coming after us. So we were able to fight back and we were able to keep our members. So in that way, I felt very, very good in the sense that although the loans portfolio is not directly under me, but again, Cecily, it affects my bottom line. So it interests me. So that's why I quickly put something together so that I could submit something to the CEO along with my team so that we can get something to counter what was going on in the market.
And in reference to the asset base now of the institution,
Right.
what is the
Now,
asset
when it
base now?
comes to the asset base, when we increase our portfolio, loans portfolio, our asset will increase. So one of the things that believe that as an institution that we needed to do, we needed to be more proactive. We needed to come with more loans that are more innovative, loans that would suit the members' needs. Because again, going through the numbers, I recognize that on the books we had some loans and the loans were not being utilized. Loans that were on the books, again, they were not utilized because they were not advertised, they were not spoken about. So I had a discussion with the CEO and we discussed these things and we come with the idea that we need to be more proactive. We need to come up with more loans that the members will want, will need. And then we did certain things. We came up with some new loan products. We relaunched some new loans and the asset base was able to increase because obviously your loans increase. So your asset base will increase. And then when it comes to increasing your loans, members come in, they bring in money to pay your loans, and obviously your cash flow increase because you get monthly payment from the members. So when they make deposit, your cash flow increase. So once your cash in hand increase, your cash flow increase, your loans increase, then the asset base increase.
And here it goes, Curve, in reference to the risk that you took as a boy growing up, both in school, in the community, things that you did, even playing notes, to be kind of innovative. Um, that I can see from the conversation that we are having really helped you in the development of being a CFO, taking
Yes,
risk.
yes, it definitely did. I can tell you.
And
And,
today,
and Cecil, one of the things is that the idea that I needed to turn a $5 into a $20. And that's why I think I love numbers because I wanted to make more so that we can earn more, so that I can provide more to my family at the time. So all those things, and I learned to do all those things. One of the things that I used to do as well is go around selling or pear, selling tomatoes to make some money for myself. So I knew how to turn this money and make more so that I can deposit it, invest it, and be able to have enough so that I can take care of myself and my family.
no, 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 Curve. I remember seeing you, is it September? August, September in St. Kitts.
Yes, yes, September.
I was most surprised. I
Surprise, Cecil.
yes,
Why?
I was most surprised because you sometimes are wrong people and not understanding the true value or the true potential. And I saw you at the Carib D meeting, the 47th Carib D meeting, as a mentor, speaking to people of the various credit unions, volunteers, and also managers and board of directors and employees on the issue of pearls.
Yes.
I've never heard the description of the value of the credit union ever, like the way you did it. Help us to have a greater understanding as to what pearls actually means.
Yes, and Cecil, before I even go into pearls, you spoke about even the Carib Day session, and I cannot stay here and don't speak about my Carib Day family. As I told you earlier on, when you told me that my mentor is listening, Mr. Melvin Edwards, I knew that I'm under pressure because that is what I really look up to him. He is very instrumental to where I've become as well. He's one that have helped me grow, helped me meet even regional leaders, international leaders. And one of the things that I received, Cecil, in 2019 in Bahamas is my IQ qualification, International Credit Union Educator qualification from World Council of Credit Unions. Now, that is a development educator qualification that you receive, but first you have to do the Caribbean Development Educator program, which you did. You have to do the Canada D program, which I did as well, and then you have to have a project, a meaningful project to move members of the credit union. It's all about the credit union, how you can impact the credit union, and how you can move the movement and go back to the history of the movement and understand the movement. And I remember in St. Kitts, because I've reached a stage where, and I must give kudos to Mr. Edwards and my entire D family, David and Carla, and all the others for the part they have played in my life, because I've received the opportunity to mentor, I've received the opportunity to facilitate across the Caribbean region. Cecil, I've facilitated in Trinidad, I've facilitated in Barbados, I've facilitated in Dominica right here, I've facilitated in St. Kitts, and you got the opportunity to see me in St. Kitts and talking about the PULS ratio, the prudential standards of the credit union. And the good thing about it is, before I speak about the PULS ratio, I have to understand the credit union movement in that particular region. So one of the things that we do is we ask the credit unions in that particular area to submit their information about the credit union, so that we understand the credit union. And with this prudential standard called PULS, it's a World Council Standards for Credit Union. Cecil, with the numbers, you understand the movement. For example, I remember I told you numbers does not lie, and numbers tell me personally a lot of things about the movement. So I studied the movement before my presentation. I get to understand the movement. So in September, we did St. Kitts. So I studied the St. Kitts Credit Union, all the credit unions in the St. Kitts region, Nevis, and I presented on the prudential standard. And I was able to tell you, Cecil, and all the other students that were there, let you understand what the numbers say about your credit union. So for example, I spoke about the capital adequacy of the credit unions and the 10% ratio that you must have. That's the goal. And if you are not there, what does that mean? So I went on to explain to the credit union members the issues that you may face if your capital adequacy does not reach 10%. It sends a signal that you are lacking strength, you are lacking standing. If you have a run on the institution, your future might not be bright. I look at the liquidity position of the institution as well. And I talk about the loans to asset ratio, where it tells us where our loans portfolio should be. And it tells us our liquidity ratio and whether we are on lending productivity, whether we're getting involved in earning assets or non-earning assets. So by using these standards, I was able to explain the challenges that the credit unions have faced, the challenges that they are facing, and to offer recommendations as to how they can bring down this ratio, how they can achieve this goal, what they can do, what the exposure is all about. For example, when I calculate your PULS ratio, I can tell you, just by looking at your delinquency ratio, I can tell you whether your delinquency department is not functioning properly, what needs to be done, what should be done. The focus of the institution should be on delinquency. When I look at your other ratios, like your quality of your asset ratio, I can tell you where the focus should be and where it should not be. So even going through the prudential standard, studying the prudential standard, and I've been blessed to facilitate across the region and facilitate locally. And it's something that I understand very, very well. And I'm able to explain to the credit union movement. And we went on further and we met with the board of directors and the management team of the credit union in St. Kitts. So we did that on the Saturday, Cecil. So again, Mr. Edwards had me working, which I enjoy doing. So we met with the others, and I can tell you it was a very, very good session and eye-opener for a lot of them, because again, I spoke about the PULS prudential standard, and I explained to them certain challenges that they may be facing and how they can overcome these challenges. So by explaining the PULS, it tells you all about your balance sheet, it tells you all about your institution, it tells you all about your delinquency, it tells you all about your staffing, it tells you about how efficient you are. So it picks out all the key ratios and you can focus on it and you can tell yourself, oh, you're far away from the standard, what needs to be done. So your focus should be on this, your focus should be on that. And with all this discussion, it tells the board of directors where their board meeting should be directed and where their focus should be on this aspect. So the pulse ratio pulls out so many things and teach us a lot, says it.
So in these key ratios that you are talking about, you can say that the NCC is in a very good position.
Oh yes, we are in a very very good position. Areas where we are challenged, we have grown, we have changed certain things around, and that's why even under my leadership, I have refocused certain things on areas that I believe that needs improvement. We have focused on our delinquency because we realize that our delinquency ratio or delinquency loan amount is very very high. So we focused on that. We introduced the one collections unit. We introduced the loan delinquency policy. So there are a number of things that we did. We looked at even at the capital adequacy or ratio as well, and we look at ways in which we can increase that because you want this ratio to increase. We look at the loans ratio, and we tell ourselves, are we lending are we really lending in a way where we have a balance in our lending? So it's not just about doing long-term lending, but you have to do short-term lending as well. There must be a mix. You look at your concentration risk as well. So these are certain things that even knowing the ratio, even coming from being the chief financial officer and now being the chief executive officer, it's easy for me to focus the strategic plan on areas that I know that need our urgent attention and need us to turn around. But I can say so far NCCU is doing very, very well.
So let me ask you the million dollar question. Um,
Yes.
it's about the recent bill government passed for the credit unions. What's your views on that?
Yes, the that was passed in July in Parliament, and first I will just mention the effects that it will have on our balance sheet and the effects it will have on our members. The bill passed and it spoke about the asset size. Now, with the asset size, that's the amount that you will be charged for the licensing fee. Now, with NCCU, we will pay in the region of $100,000 based on our asset size. So these $100,000 will come from our surplus. So our surplus will reduce, and obviously, if your surplus reduce, your dividends amount will reduce. Now we have, as a credit union movement, we have met among ourselves, and we have decided that we need to make a counter proposal to the government. So we met our board of directors we met as a credit union movement, and we made a proposal among the six credit unions to the government. The proposal was sent through the Dominica Credit Union League on behalf of all the credit unions and their directors, and it's a counter proposal. And right now at this point, we are waiting a meeting with the Minister of Finance, Mr. McIntyre, in order for us to discuss even further. Because even as a credit union body, we have other suggestions and ways in which that we can even go about with this licensing fee. Another thing that even capture our attention as well is the Cooperative Societies Act. And even at the time, Cooperative Societies Act implemented in 2011, we know certain things have changed, and we know that there are many changes that as a credit union movement that we want to suggest, we want to make. And I think that it is important that all the interested bodies, the credit unions, the Minister of Finance, and the government, that we meet together and we even speak about these changes as well. So I believe it's a dialogue that continues, and we await another meeting with the Minister of Finance as a credit union movement. And we are really looking forward to meeting with the government, because that's something that it is important. You need to meet, you need to dialogue, you need to make suggestions, you need to even make certain areas clear and make your own counter proposal, even when the government come up with their own.
So let me ask you: remove the cap of CFO, former CFO, and also the cap of CEO.
Right.
What would be your recommendation if you would have to approach government away from the $100,000? So what recommendation would you have made to the government?
Yeah, simple. Cecil, my concern is really with the smaller credit unions. For example, if you look at St. Mary's Credit Union, we are saying that you're going to pay based on asset size. Now, if you look at St. Mary's Credit Union, which is the smallest among us, they will be paying like $10,000. Now, their net surplus was less than $10,000. So once they are charged to pay that $10,000, obviously they move from a surplus to a loss. So I would say credit unions of this size, I would focus the licensing fee not just on asset size, but on surplus as well. So again, being a finance man, I will come up with some form of computation where we look at not just the asset, we look at the performing credit union, which is the surplus, because what we have found is that our asset grow very, very quickly. We can move from one tier to the next, and there are different tiers that the government has proposed. So in a twinkle of an eye, one of the credit union can move from paying, let's say, $10,000 to paying $15,000 or $20,000 because the asset has moved. Now, even if your asset has increased, your surplus might not increase. So I believe that we should factor in not just the asset size, but the surplus of the institution as well.
Would the asset means based on the loans given and persons who are delinquent and the credit union would have to have those assets of the individual that they would have had, who in terms of the individual who's now become delinquent, does that asset base includes these people or just the asset of the institution?
Yeah, when well, they fall under the loan category. So even if you become delinquent, what we do for reporting, we deduct the delinquent loans. But presently, the delinquent loans is part of your total loans. So we see a situation where you're not getting anything from these loans, but then you're paying a fee based on your asset size. So there are many discussions that we can have, because even as the leader of the NCCU, one of the things that I have spoken to Mr. Belfield about is we need to get into this room where we can dialogue and have a conversation. And he represents the credit union movement based on the Dominica Cooperative Societies League, and we want to move as a movement. We don't, because there are certain things that NCCU might suggest that might not be fit into another credit union. So I think it is important that we come together as a movement, which we have worked on, we have met, we have had several meetings, and I think that we need to sit at this table and have a discussion so we can better understand how we can come up with a way that we can really better what is going on with regards to the licensing fee, because it's just finding a common way, because sometimes you have to understand the position of the government, and then you let the government understand the position of the credit union as well. That is important.
Well, so far you're doing very well, I must say, Curth, and I'm sure when you're through this program, you're going to be getting a number of calls. Now, Curth, you was former CFO of this financial institution, the National Cooperative Credit Union,
Right.
and you are also not manage. I'm trying to look for the word, not manage, but this financial institution, the F these guys that normally monitors
Or regulators,
the
FSU?
regulator, FSU, right?
Yes,
How
yes,
much
or regulators.
how much of a relationship that the credit union has with the FSU?
Cecil, one of the things that I did when I became appointed, even while acting as CEO, I met with the director of FSU, and Claudius Lestrade, and I also met with Ed Ellick, who is responsible for credit union. Because one of the things that I believe in is regulations is important, and having this relationship with your regulators is very, very important, because we're not in a fight. We're here in order for us to protect our country, protect Dominica, protect our financial institution. And I'm very, very pleased with the relationship that we have. We have had many meetings. Not too long, I met with them as well for us to discuss certain things, certain situation, because I want to understand from their point of view what NCCU can do better, what we are not doing, what can we do, what areas can we better. Because again, when the on-site visit is done by ECCB and all the regulators, we want to ensure that we get a pass rating, especially under my watch. I want to ensure that NCCU comply with risk, with compliance and regulations. That's very, very important to me. The size of this institution is too important for us to run it in a vai way. We have to follow rules, we have to follow regulations, and I'm very, very happy that I have a very, very good relationship with the financial services unit.
Well, I'm asking these questions outside of the yard, but it's to show the development of the yard, basically how the
Mhm.
yard was able to prepare you to deal with those financial matters. So don't feel and don't feel offended about the fact that
Oh
I'm
no,
asking about the credit
oh no,
union.
oh no,
I just
oh
want people
no.
to have a greater understanding as to what the yard prepared you for. No,
That's right, that's right.
no, no.
And once you ask me about my movement, I can tell you anything about the movement.
Right. No, no, we know that you put your deposits into the banks.
Yes.
The question I would like to ask you: when these deposits are made, do you receive interest from those deposits?
We have some deposits receive interest, some don't. Our current account, which is our checking account, it don't receive interest. And that is why when I mentioned being the CFO, you have to manage this cash flow and manage these investments. So some will receive interest. For example, we have a number of fixed deposits with the banks, both here and regionally. We have a number of accounts with the banks, both here and regionally. And again, our checking account don't receive interest, but our savings account and our investment or fixed deposits receive interest.
Okay. No, no, no. I'm asking this question because I want to go to an area in reference to the fixed assets. Oh, sorry, fixed accounts.
Mhm,
In reference to the MLAJA, we have heard quite a lot about MLAJA.
mhm.
It how do you see the MLAJA as a good source to your members?
Well, Emblasia is a very very good product, Cecil. I must say, I got an opportunity to see the demo of Emblasia, and I think that it is a good product. I think it is something where it will our members will evolve in moving cash. You're able to move cash regionally, not just locally here, but in any area. And then the point of sale of using cash and transferring cash, and it makes the member much easier for the member. And MLARS will create a platform where you can even bypass the for moving telex transfer, because again you can do direct transfers. So it's something that's very very, I would say, innovative and technologically inclined, because they have moved into that way. What I will say is that we have to be prepared for an innovation like this. We have to prepare our members for it as well, because again you want our members to understand what they're getting into, what are the risks, what are the pros, what are the cons. But where I see it, it's a product that's very very good. It's a product that can do well if it is marketed properly and if it is implemented properly, because again with mlarge you need members, you need traction, you need traffic, you need transactions in order for you to see your returns.
But but
So it is some, yes, go ahead.
but also too in reference to the MLAJA,
Hmm.
I can say that that is like a service of the bank and not that of the service of the cooperatives. Now, how does the FSU sees MLAJA as a service of the bank versus that of a service of the cooperative?
Well, I cannot speak for FSU, Cecil. I'm not sure how they see the mlarge product. I know it was created through the league and it is a brainchild of the league and among the credit unions, but I'm not too sure how FSU as a body look at mlarge. I'm not able to answer this one.
Okay, fine, that's not a problem. But does the rules and regulations of the cooperative makes preparation for that innovation of banking services?
I believe mlarge is a financial what I would call something where which fall under something like the insurances and technology, digital development, and all those things. So I'm not too sure where they fall when it comes to regulations. So that's why I'm not able to answer. If NCCU was part of mlarge or getting involved in mlarge or mlarge was NCCU, I would be able to tell you at this time. But the league is responsible for mlarge, so I'm not able to answer.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that answer that you have just given me. Um, Also, too, I sometimes get confused, even as a member of of the credit union, the word member, shareholders. Help us to have a greater
Yes.
understanding because, again, I'm taking it from the point of view of the yard. We are in the
Hmm.
yard, we are playing games, We're not so sure who is our best friend. And our best friend can say that you are my good friend, but you cannot say that you're my best friend. How how does the credit union look at membership versus that of shareholders? Because sometimes
Yeah,
you apply for a
the
loan and you're
yes,
hearing that you need to get one more share or you need to get shares.
yes, and that is what makes us different from the bank, Cecil. And even at our staff meeting on Wednesday, I reiterate to the members of staff that we are really working for the members. They are our owners. And when I tell you they are our owners, they are the ones responsible for employing us. They are the ones responsible for the decision making of the institution, because the members are the ones who become board of directors, credit committee members, and volunteers, and they involve in decision making and strategic movement of the institution. So as a member, you the surplus of the institution goes back to you as an individual, in the sense that you receive your dividend at the end of the year. And if you come to our annual general meeting, you approve dividend payments and you receive your dividend payments. As a member, you have a right to get involved in, vote on policy decisions. There are a number of things that we cannot just wake up and do. The board of directors are the extension of the members to make policy decisions. But certain decisions, Cecil, we must go back to the members to give us the majority vote. I spoke about the amalgamation process. The board of directors of each of the individual credit unions wanted the amalgamation, but we could not just say we form in NCCU. No, you must go back to the members. The members must have a say. And that is why the members voted yes for the amalgamation. If the members voted no, there's no way we could have amalgamated. So the members are our owners. The members are the reason why we come to work every day. And that is why when we serve the members, we serve them with a smile. We go the extra mile for our members. And I continue reiterating it to our members of staff that when you look at a member, you look at them as your owners, as the one who own the institution. They are the shareholders, and that's why we ask them to buy shares. When you buy $50 share, you're owner of the institution and you receive dividend on your share.
Nice. I like that. I like that information that you have been able to actually help the ordinary member to have a greater understanding of the value of the credit union, because some people they just know that they are members and not understanding their true value. You just explain the fact that they are not just members, but the whole process, the whole operational process really is through the membership. And I'm very happy that you are able to give us that kind of information that is required. No, no, no,
Yes, Cecil,
yeah.
and that is important to us because even our new strategic focus, our number one pillar is effective member services, and that is our focus going forward. We have to ensure that we give our members effective services at all points, at all areas of the branches. I know that we are not there yet, but we are working hard so that we can get there. So when a member come to the institution, they feel satisfied and they feel like they are not entering into a bank, but they're entering into their credit union.
Let's go back a little bit to Salisbury,
Yes.
the Bayside. Fishermen, you said that you love fishing, but you didn't tell us about how much you would have been engaged in the sea outside of fishing. There is
I'm,
swimming.
I'm, yeah, I'm a very good swimmer, Cecil. As I said, I used to spend a lot of time on the beachside. And the trick I used to use is I tell my mom that I'm going to check my dad, who was a fisherman as well. So I would go down there, and sometimes he would not even see me for the afternoon, but I'm there bathing in the sea. There's an area in Salisbury we call Lalin Hole and Sulu Moor. So these areas we used to jump in. And imagine I passed in one of those areas because it's an area we call Lalin Hole. So Cecily, you have to go down there and you have to hold your breath and you have to end up on the other side of the mountain. And I couldn't believe as a child we used to do these things. I say God really had his hands on us because you could go down there and you could not come up because if you want to catch your breath, that's it for you. But God used to look at us and we were able to journey through these things and believe that we're playing. There was a special rock in which I burst my head on. I remember passing there, and at that time my wife and myself went on the bayside and I showed her this rock and I say, babes, that's where I burst my head, and it's a what I call a head dive I took. and I took that head dive directly on this rock. So I have a lot of history, I have a lot of memory on the bayside. I enjoy being on the bayside. What we used to do is from morning, especially summertime, we used to find ourselves on the bayside and we had to go and pick mangoes because we're hungry. So we go and pick mangoes, we go in cane. Sometimes we used to climb up on the other side so that we can go in what we call PS Mulo, where people have their melon, so we can get a melon or something to eat as a young boy. So there are a number of things that we did on this bayside, and obviously we did our fishing. We used to go on the rock and send out our catgut and put our bait and catch all different fish. So I have very, very good memories at the bayside. I enjoy being at the bayside. I enjoy seeing. And that's why I tell at one point I wanted to be a fisherman.
No, like every child, Curth, on a Sunday was something special. A Saturday was also somewhat special. On a Saturday, you were hearing the word broth. On
Mhm.
on a Sunday, you were hearing big food. What was a Sunday like for you in terms of
Yes.
meals, breakfast?
Yeah, yeah. A Sunday, as I told you earlier on a Sunday, that's the time you would get really the delicacies. You'd get a little egg, you'd get something different. So Sunday, we used to look forward to Sunday. That's the time you'd maybe get a little big beans, a little hot dog, and used to look forward to that because during the week, as I told you, is your bread and butter. But on Sunday, you'd get that. On a Sunday, you get your big food. Saturday is time for broth, but on Sunday you get your little big chicken, your little big food, and trust me, eating big food is like, oh my, you feel so good eating a piece of big pie, a piece of macaroni and cheese bake, chicken bake. So those we used to look forward to our Sundays.
All right, so you should look forward for the Sundays, and most children at that time look forward for the Sundays. Um, what we did not speak about is rivers. You spoke about going for water, in the pipe,
Yes.
but we never spoke about rivers. Salisbury had any at the time you grew up?
Yes, we we even there was a guy who visited me early on this year and I was speaking to him about one of the river that burst the road. And he was telling me that cannot be a river. I tell him, my brother, if you go higher up, this is a river that we used to jump in, we used to bathe in, and we used to spend a lot of time by the river because, again, by the river, that is where we get our mangoes, that's where we get our nut, and we used to spend our entire day at the river. There are a few bassins that we have. They kind of dry up now, unless if we have a little rainfall or a little storm, you'll see them coming down raging, but we spend a lot of time by the river. Another thing that we spend doing by the river, Cecil, is washing clothes. And one of the things that I saw after Maria, we went to the river, and one of the issue I saw that the young persons have, I could take my clothes, and you know when you take your clothes and you wash it, and you can do the skirt with the on the stone. I was able to do that because again, I wash clothes by the river, whereas I see some of the young persons cannot even what we call the choche in the clothes. They cannot wash it or something after Mario when we didn't have no choice.
Chochoin,
So I learned
chochoin.
the chocho, right, right, like the lack word.
Yes, chochoin.
So so I spent a lot of time washing our clothes because them time that you didn't have washing machine and you didn't have running water by your home. So you have to find yourself with basin of clothes going by the river. And even as a young boy, you have to find yourself washing your underpants, washing your underwear, washing your pants, washing your shirt because you have to play your part as well.
What about brothers wearing brothers' pants and brothers wearing brothers' shirts and brothers' shoes?
Oh, Cecil, we did a lot of that. We did a lot of that. We had to wear each other's clothes at certain time. But my brother, my elder brother, he was kind of big. I was very small growing up. So anybody could know when I have his shirt because he was bigger than me and more cost, although he's 2 years older than me, but I was very, very thin. So most likely once I have his clothes, others would know. But we went through a lot of those process. We went through changing pants as well. Even a friend of mine that we raised up together, Vernon Larrock. I remember we even going as far as changing pants because we didn't have, and I felt sorry for him as well. So I used to give him some of my pants for him to wear as well. So it's like growing up, we were so tight that we could share those things. So that is something that I did with my siblings and something I did with my friends as well.
Wow, that's interesting, eh? Very, very much
Yes.
interesting.
Yes,
Because
Cecil.
a lot.
It's a long journey, and I can go on and speak about it. Even some of my friends that I raised up with, one of the things that I did, Cecil, I try to encourage them to own a home, because when we raised up, is like when we were growing up, is like we felt that we couldn't afford, like owning a home is not for us. And I remember even being at the St. Paul branch, managing the St. Paul branch, which is closer to Salisbury catchment. I encourage a lot of those young guys to buy a piece of land and to build their property. And I feel so good that some of them that I raised with, today they own their home, they buy their property, they invest in their home, they buy a piece of land. And I feel very, very good, because one of my passions, Cecil, is really assisting people and helping them to better their lives. I believe that that is one of my calling, and I take pleasure in doing that. I take pleasure in helping others, and I take pleasure in seeing their standard of living raised.
Also, too, as a boy growing up, your mother or your father would have said to you, "I do not like that type of music that you're listening to." In my time growing up, is reggae. My parents would think if you listen to reggae, you're smoking marijuana. What type of music you love listening to those days?
Cecil, I love R&B. Not like what they have been now, eh? But Boys to Men, listening to a good Boys to Men. I think I was a lover boy growing up. So all the lyrics I get from Boys to Men and all those groups there, I listen to these groups, and these were really R&B music. Even today, one of those days I was driving home and I listened to some of those music, and I felt it's like I remember my young days, because some of the lyrics that come from this music, man, is lyrics I used as a young boy. So I really enjoy this kind of music. So one of the things, I didn't get any problem from my parents with regards to the music, because they were nice, mellow, soft music that really lyrically they were strong. They were able to sway a young lady. You were able to talk to a young lady and really get her to smile and get her to like you. So it's music that really did well for me. I really enjoy this kind of music.
So basically R&B, not much reggae and those things. Not.
No, no, more or less R&B. I love reggae, some of the reggae. Even today I listen to a lot of reggae, but most of my time I spend listening to gospel music, because I do a lot of work in the church. I do ministering of the word of God. So I listen to a lot of gospel music, kind of soothe me. It kind of get me relaxed, and it kind of make me be strengthened again. So I listen to a lot. I love a good gospel music. I enjoy listening to gospel music and connecting with my God.
Someone asked me to ask you, how did you get into the credit union movement?
Yes, I got in 2005 when I left with church. I left with church after 8 years, and I got into it. Was I remember that leap, Cecil, and I remember that I was kind of hesitant to leave with church and enter into the credit union, especially I was going into credit union in Point Michel, lastly credit union at the time. But I needed a change. I felt like I needed a change, and I needed to push myself. So I took a leap of faith, and I must say that it paid off in the end.
And from since then, you have been enjoying it.
Oh yes, and it falls down to what I enjoy doing, Cecil, and that is why I've gotten involved in so many community groups. And I told you about being the president of the Salisbury Reunion Committee. The reunion took place in 2011. I was the chairman of the Salisbury Enhancement Committee and part of the supervisory committee of the then Salisbury Credit Union as well. So I've got a treasury of the Salisbury Basketball Club, and it's like I get involved in community just from to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said, it's a passion of mine to help others, to see somebody smile, to lift up their spirit, to mentor them, to coach them, and to let them enjoy life. And I really enjoy doing that. So I believe that the Cretan movement, which is about people helping people, that was my calling. Because Cecil, I wanted to get involved in things that would help persons. And I remember at a certain point, I even wanted to be a politician. I remember wanting to be a politician at one time, and then I realized that my calling was not that, and my calling was really to help people. And I'm so happy that I found my calling in the Cretan movement, and I was able to help people, and I am able to help people through the Cretan movement. I am deeply involved in my church as well. I'm the chairman of the church finance committee in my local assembly. I go to Christian Assembly Ministries, and I minister the word of God as well, because I'm very, very close and passionate about letting people hear about the word of God and what God can do for them.
So you're one of the person who believe that in the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy
Son and
Ghost.
the Holy Spirit, yes.
Right. Some people. What would you say to some people who do not believe in the Son? Believe in the Spirit and believe in
Let
God,
me
but not the
let me
Son.
tell you now, Cecil, I enjoy having conversation with people that have different views, because again, I want to understand where you're coming from. So if you tell me that you don't believe in the Trinity, you don't believe in one or the other, I enjoy having a conversation with you. I have a cousin of mine is in Pennsylvania, and my mom raised him as a son as well, and I can tell you we enjoy having these religious discussions. I would listen to him. I would understand his point of view. I remember when I visited him some time ago, I went to his church as well, because I'm not naive. I am very open and I listen to other point of view. I believe it's important you try to understand why people say certain things. And I listen and I try to understand, and then I give you my point of view as well. I'm very strong will and I believe in what I believe, so I'm not easily swayed. So even if you see me listening, I will listen and I try to understand you. And I think that is important. I think one of the things that we need, Cecil, among ourselves is love. And if we continue to love each other, we continue to live with each other, and we'll stop making this unnecessary noise with one another, and we'll live to take care of each other, to love each other, and to show interest and love for one another. I think that is important for our society.
But I'm still waiting on the answer. If how do you relate to someone who believes in God and the Spirit, but do not believe in Jesus?
We relate nicely. We relate nicely. I will not push down my religious belief on you. No, no, no. I will not do that. I will have a conversation with you, and I'll try to understand where your beliefs come from, and I will respect that,
You said
because
go ahead,
persons have different belief, and I really respect that.
you said earlier on that you would have liked to be a politician. What made you change your mind?
That's an interesting question. Around the time doing the reunion for Salisbury and being chairman of the enhancement committee, I really got involved in helping the villagers, looking at even our road network in Salisbury, trying to get assistance in a number of areas, see how I could assist persons. So it really touched me in a way that I could represent them at a higher level. But one of the things that I realized that my calling is helping people, and I wanted to get involved in the politics arena. But then one of the I call her my pillar, my most critic. That's my wife, Gislyn Charles, 21 years of marriage. So I have to listen to her. So I remember when I came home and I say, babes, I'm interested in politics. She's like, what? That is not for you. So she talked me out. She talked me out of it immediately, and she told me we had a long conversation, and she told me if you're interested in helping people, there are other ways that you can help them. So that's what I did. I got involved in church. I got involved in the Christian movement. So I'm still helping. So I'm still fulfilling my dreams.
So if you approach now to be, if you approach to be given the opportunity to be a parliamentary representative, will you say no to the political party that ask you?
At this time, no. At this time, I'm passionate about the Christian movement, and even my position now as the CEO. There are places that I want to take NCCU to, and it calls for my full attention. Calls for my full attention. And even NCCU as an institution, I feel like I'm reaching persons the way that I want to. I'm touching lives the way that I want to. So believe I'm fulfilling that dream, Cecil. So at this point, I would say no.
You'd say no. All right.
Yes.
But you still have not left it behind
Well,
at this
you,
point.
I don't know what the calling will be. One of the things I listen to God attentively, so I don't know what the calling is for in my life. At this point, I know He has called me to lead NCCU. I believe that it is not something that happened overnight, but it's something that has to be fulfilled, and I've been called to lead this institution, and that is my focus. And another thing, Cecil, I enjoy spending time with the family. So I try to balance and find time to spend with the family. I have my three children, and I tell you, they're growing so quickly. And you know how these children are. They want to get out and go to study. So I'm trying to see how I can enjoy every opportunity that I have with them, because family is important to me. On a Sunday, especially, I try to spend some time with my mom. I try to spend time with my siblings as well, because I believe that creating memory and being a family is very, very important.
Okay, wow. What do you think of discoveries?
Oh, I love this program. I told you I listened when Mr. Edwards was on, and I'm like, whoa. Then I listened when Sam was on as well, and some of your Sam Raphael, and then some of your other guests, and I'm like, this program bring you way back, because even now you have me thinking about my childhood upbringing. Some areas that I even forget and I didn't focus on, you took me back to there, Cecilia. I think it's a very, very good program. It's a program that you should really continue, and continue to bring in different persons from different walks of life, so that they can let us understand. Because even for me, Cecil, and telling my story over the year, I want people to understand that I'm a very humble person. This position that I have today is not a position that I feel like I have to walk on air, or I'm more than persons. No, 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 no. It's a position I believe that was given to me by God. And I believe that I have to do what is required to be with the members. And that's why if you come to NCCU as a member, you will have a conversation with me. You will see me. You can come to see me anytime. And it's something that I want to do, Cecil. I believe that where I've raised and gone through the LACO experience, the discoveries of my life, the training, I think it has put me in a position where I can excel today. And I'm very appreciative for my upbringing.
A,
Very, very much so.
a friend
I
of
believe that. Yes, go ahead.
a friend of yours said to me, all I'm hearing is that he is a politician and he's fighting it.
Oh my God.
That's a very good friend of yours.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tell them no, I'm not.
Uh,
Oh
and
boy.
another person sent me another WhatsApp says,
Uh-huh.
real great conversation. I'm impressed with this guy. He
Hmm.
somewhat reminds me of Reggie the PS, a well
Oh,
balanced individual. Wow. Can you
thank
imagine
you,
people
thank
are
you.
making comparison with you and
Yes,
others?
yes, I feel
Hmm?
honored. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And it's really amazing, um, how you are able to relate, and people are somewhat very, very, very interested in the program. Another person said, good interview.
Nice.
And people are, another good friend of yours said to me, ask him a few more questions about the credit union. Because it seems like the person is the listeners are very much satisfied with your outcome of the way that you're able to have this interview out with me tonight.
I'm happy. I'm happy that they are.
Yeah, I'm also happy that they were able to be satisfied, of the interview. So tell me how you felt tonight about questions asked.
Um, I remember when we spoke about being on this program. One of the things that Cecil, I don't shy away from any questions and stuff. And I have grown and got a relationship. We have grown. Even our time we spend in St. Kitts in September, that has helped us grow as well. And even our discussion here, I knew once you explained to me about the program, I'm going to speak about my life and growing up. And it's easy. I usually tell my story to the young students when I speak to them, when I go around, even our own staff, I and our management team at NCCU. I share my story with them, because I believe it's important that they understand that even in their career path, that you have to get knocked down, you have to go through certain situations, but you have to get up, especially if you know who you serve. You have to get up, because you serve a God who will direct you in the right path. You just have to be patient. So I'm very, very happy that I'm able to go through this program. I'm happy that you invited me to it. And speaking about my experiences, it's something that I always do. I try to let people understand who I am, you understand? Because over the years, I enjoy being in this close room, going over the numbers. And I've gradually moved away from that because I got to interact with people. I got to be with people. I got to attend meetings with others. As I told you, I'm out there in the region as well, mentoring and lecturing. That has helped as well. I've met a number of persons. And I must say, Cecil, that I have to give credit to all the persons who have played, mentored me, persons who have helped me shaped up to be the person I am. And I start from my mom, I start from my wife, who's my biggest critic, and I start from my friends and all those persons, Melvin Edwards, my Caribbean family, my NCCU family, my management team, the members of staff of NCCU, the board of directors who saw the confidence in me, Cecil, my credit committee members who I work very closely with so that all you can approve all the loans that I bring forth to all you, my supervisory committee who continues to be our watchdog. So I'm just grateful, Cecil, for so many persons who have impacted my life. I must speak about my local pastor, Pastor Lloyd Vidal as well. So even my church family in Salisbury at Christian Assembly Ministry, my upbringing in the Catholic Church. So it's a number of persons that I have to give credit. They said that it takes a village to raise a child, and I can tell you that I'm a product of a village. I'm a product of Salisbury. I'm a product of Dominica. I'm a product of the entire community of Dominica because a lot of persons have impacted my life and helped to shape me into the person that I am today.
Well, it's really, I was just talking to someone overseas who says that they would like to talk to you. I give the person a number to call.
Sure, sure.
It seems as if quite a number of people actually enjoy the program because I'm getting quite a number of messages on my phone.
That's nice.
Yes, it's really nice. I really elated that people could really. So let me just repeat the numbers for anyone who wants to call. If you're overseas, 305 432 9744. I'll repeat the number: 305 432 9744. If you're overseas, that's a free number you can call. If you're local, you can call 1-800-327 1-800-327, and you can contribute. There's a free line also, but you have to call via your line. Or you can call 448-3284 via mobile, 448-3282. Sorry, 448-3284, or you can call 448-3279. 448-3279. So, Curth, tell me how you think of tonight's program.
Oh, I think it was a very, very good program, Cecil. It's a very good program. It got me an opportunity. It gave me an opportunity to speak to a number of our members. Again, NCCU, we carry the entire nation. We have members all around, and even our members overseas and in the region. So it gave the members an opportunity to meet their new CEO because I got appointed on November 1st. I've been acting CEO from 2014 to 2023 on different occasions, but actually got appointed on November 1st. So Cecily program gave me an opportunity to speak to our members out there and let them understand who is leading their institution, the institution they have entrusted with their finances.
Do you intend to stay as a CEO of the NCCU for the next 20 years?
Not that long. No, not that long. Cecilia, I can tell you that I have to be, how would I put it, in the sense that I have a lot of energy.
You want to hold your energy? The person, please, just hold that energy a while, please. The person's on the
Yes.
line. Please low down the volume of your radio or your television or whatever the case may be. You're there? Good evening to you, caller.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm
Good
calling
evening,
from
good
Point
evening.
Michel. My name is Miranda. Mr. Charles knows me very well.
Oh
I'm
my God.
impressed.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, Miranda.
Yes. Okay, good evening.
That's all you call to tell Mr. Charles?
Yes, I'm impressed.
You're impressed.
I'm
Oh
proud
boy.
of him.
That is my people self. Oh my God. Thanks for calling, Miranda. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Charles.
All right,
Thank
then.
you very
Thank
much
you.
for the
Yeah.
support.
All right, then. Wow. Miranda just called to say good evening to you. That is so nice.
Oh
I
boy.
can imagine. And I know some of your members are actually listening because one of your members, oh sorry, one of your staff member sent me the link. Actually sent me the link. It means that she must have had a broadcast and she sent a number of people. Someone just asked, since the members are the backbone of the credit union, where does the credit union advertise their vacancies so that members have a chance to apply?
Yes, we advertise our vacancy even regionally as well in the local newspaper. We do it over the air. We do it regionally. We do it via Facebook, via IG. Even presently, we have vacancy notice out for chief financial officer. That's a position that I held previously. This position is out. We have vacancy out for risk officer as well. So we continue to advertise position. What we do as well, we advertise some positions internally first because we look at the staff that we have and we look at how we can promote this staff even within. And that's why I encourage the staff to increase their qualification, increase their educational level, and be prepared for promotion because under my watch, promotion will come. So we advertise both internally and even outside and regionally and even in Dominica as well. So we do it all over the air, all around.
And that's important to note, because sometimes you don't give the opportunity, or some institutions don't give the opportunity for members internally to really get the opportunity to be in higher positions. So that's a good concept. Good evening to you, caller. Your life.
Cecil, good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night,
Mr.
good night.
Charles, my partner. Good night, Mr. Charles. That's Teacher Lucas.
Hey, what going on?
I've
Everything
been
best?
trying. I've been trying to come to you, but every time I come, you know the situation. He's in a
Yes,
meeting. In a meeting.
yes, the Lufa. Yeah,
You like the
anytime,
House of
anytime,
Assembly.
my brother.
You like the House of Assembly, a meeting and a sitting. Anyway, I'll come and see you before the year end, okay?
Yes, sure, sure,
Firstly, I
sure,
just want to
sure.
say Mr. Charles is a very approachable man. When I had my little difficulties, I went to see Mr. Charles. I don't have to say it personally, and he helped me very much. And some of us are too ungrateful. When people help you, you must come and say it. Say it so others can get help. We are too ungrateful. Thank you, Mr. Charles.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
thank you
much.
very much.
I hope it's not a nip we were sending. He's just making his point. He was just making his point.
My father self.
Yes, but Curth, I think I want to wish you well. I think you are an
Thank you, thank you.
individual that who has the creative in at heart, and
Oh
so
yes.
doing, I expect that your members of staff will give you the support as required,
Oh yes.
especially because of your personality, and I hope the board of directors themselves, for the next few years that you'll be there, that they are willing to take some of the advice that they will have received from you that will be of great importance for the development of the credit union, the National Cooperative Credit Union.
Oh yes, I have a very, very good relationship with the board of directors. I must say a very, very good working relationship. And I try to even tap into their expertise as well. And we discuss a number of things. And again, Cecil, I must compliment my staff, and they have been working with me because one of the things with Mr. Charles, the reward for work is more work. So sometimes when they work well, I tell them we have to work harder. So they understand where I want to take the institution, and they're willing to do what it takes so that we can get there. And what most importantly, I just want to really appreciate them and really do what it takes for me to show them how much I appreciate them. It's not just saying it, but showing it. And that's one of the things that I want to do. And I know when they wake up and it's time to go to work, they'll be willing and happy to be at NCCU.
Okay, that's good to take note of. And really, thank you. Really want to say thank you to you, Curth, for. But before I go, I just want to ask you. You are from Salisbury. How
Yes.
do you how do you look at the Salisbury Credit Union? Do you look at it as a competitor? I'm hearing
Oh
I'm hearing
no,
I'm
no,
hearing popular
Cecil.
thoughts.
Imagine I have been a member of the supervisory committee of the Salisbury Credit Union. I love my credit union. I'm a member as well. I'm a member as well. I have a very good relationship with the manager, Mr. Robinson. We speak daily. We speak often. I give him my opinion as well with regards to the institution. I love my credit union, and I want it to do well. Even where I sit as the CEO of NCCU, I'm looking and we have discussing things where we can cooperate together, cooperative among cooperation among cooperatives, and I really want us to cooperate together so that we can even bring more services to the people of Salisbury. So it's some a credit that I want to see do well, and where I sit, I really want to assist them in ways that I can so that they can do very, very well as well.
Can you give us your last words?
Oh, Cecil, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be on the LACO program. I really enjoy myself tonight. Give me an opportunity to let the members, let the people of Dominica know who I am. I'm very happy that I got to be here, and I just want to thank God for the opportunity to have me here today. I believe it's because of His divine intervention that I sit here today, and I give Him all the praise and all the glory. I want to thank my wife, who has been my support, my pillar, my strength. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank my family members, my siblings, my brothers, my sisters, those who are overseas, those who are here. I really want to thank my uncles, aunties. Cecily, I just cannot call names because I have so many of them. I have a lot of uncles, I have a lot of aunties, those who are really very instrumental in playing part in my life. And to speak about and to thank my church family, and to thank my D family, and to thank my credit union family. So many persons to thank, and I just want to thank God for them. Thank God for what they have done into my life, and I continue to pray for them as they pray for me. And I just want to wish everybody out there all the best. I want to wish all the listeners of DBS Cecil, I want to wish you all the best. And I pray that God continue to bless everyone out there.
And you forget free
Thank you
people.
very much.
You forget free people.
My children?
Yes, correct.
Oh boy. And you died on them to tell me, Daddy, you left me out. No, I'll never leave them out. They are my heartbeat. They're the reason that I wake up every day.
All I
And
give you your last words. All I give you your last words, but someone
and I
just
try to
called.
raise them. I try to raise them, Cecil, in the best possible way,
Uh-huh.
so that they can be good adults in society.
Someone's on the line. Someone wanted to say their last words. Good evening to you, caller.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I just wanted to ask a last question quickly. I know he's on his way out. I've been hearing quite a bit said about government taxing the credit union for, well, as the minister said, it's not a tax or whatever it is, whatever. However, my question to you is that really coming from the government to put the tax, or the banks putting that pressure on government? Let me tell you why I ask that. I don't want to be too long. Every institution, financially institution in Dominica pays a tax. Insurance companies pay tax. I work for 30 years there, so I know. The bank pays tax. While there are not many now, but there's still the two banks, National Bank and Scotia, the one previous Scotia Bank. At the end of the year, the credit union movement boasts of how many $1 million they make in profits. They are not paying taxes. The banks are. The insurance companies are. Is it an internal question asked to put the pressure to pay the tax, or is it really government looking for revenue? I would just like a feedback from the gentleman there. And that's a very beautiful program. Wonderful. I enjoyed it from the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank
Yes.
you. Yes.
Yes. I'm not sure what's the government point of view for the licensing fee. But where we sit, we know it's a licensing fee, and I said it earlier that will affect the movement, and we really want to sit at the table and have a discussion with the government about this licensing fee, as I said earlier on. But I'm not sure where it came from. I'm not sure if it's because of the insurance or the banks. But where I see it as the leader of one of the leading institution on island, it is something that will affect us, and it's something where we will discuss and need to discuss further with the Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much. As you said earlier on, you repeated yourself, just to ensure that the caller got the right information, because she wanted to know whether it's because of the banking business or the insurance why the taxes have been paid, and you have answered it well. So, Curth, you said hi to your
Yes.
3 children. You said hi to all the members of the family, and to all
Yeah.
that are necessary. You said hi to them. I just want to say to you, thank you so very much, Curth, for the kind of interview that you had with me this evening. Another example of a man who has raised in the Laku, and the Laku has influenced him so much that he has been able
Yes.
to give back to the society. He has been able to take what he was taught in the Laku to bring back to the institution that he's at, and that spells, greatness in you, Curth, and I can only see you doing better and better as life goes on.
Thank you very much, Cecil. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being
Uh,
with me. All right.
yes, and good night to everybody.
All right. So good night to you, Curth, and good night to everybody. All right.
Thank you. Bye
Right.
bye.
Bye bye. Okay, then we just come to the end of another interesting program, that of Curth Charles. As I said, he is the CEO of the credit union, the National Cooperative Credit Union. Its headquarters is in Roseau, and there are branches in La Salette, that's Point Michel, in Maho, in Cassibros, in the East, River Syric, and the Roseau Credit Union. Another beautiful program tonight. And I just want to thank Curth Charles for actually engaging with us, the listeners of DBS Radio, and to give them a part of his history. Thank you so very much. Let's now go to some of our Christmas songs as we're into the Christmas season. It's already 9 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Wishing the world a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. They are the rich and the poor, they are the healthy and the sick. The healthy, I wish you care for the sick. The rich give to the poor. And let's make this Christmas a happy Christmas for all. I thank you. Merry Christmas.